Welcome to the first ever Nick Leach Show with my fine guest, Steady Eddie. We are back officially after a hiatus for a lot of you out there. Well, not a lot of you. The very few, I'd say 7, as Mac used to say. For the 7 of you that are with us here now on this new show, welcome. For those who are new to the show, I am Nick Leach. This is Steady. This is kind of going to be a new format show versus how we used to do the Going to Work podcast from not even a couple years ago. What was that, 6 months ago we did that study?
Longer than that. Our last episode, I think, was right after New Year's.
So back in January.
Sometime back in January, I believe we stopped recording.
Oh, I mean, it feels like it was only 6 months ago, but yeah, I guess it was.
9 months ago-ish.
Yeah, longer than that. But we're back with a new show. It's going to be a little bit different than, it's not going to be just as Detroit focused. I would say it's going to be more of a variety sports show. We're going to talk on more of the, I would say, national headlines, national news. Obviously going to be a lot of football talk with football season starting today, September 7th, as you're listening to this. So that's what this episode is going to be all about, college football and the NFL. So we'll jump into the big stories from the weekend in the college football world. Then we'll jump over and kind of preview the full NFL season. We'll go conference to conference and things like that. But I don't know exactly how we're going to do this show just yet. I mean, the plan and hope is to do 2 shows a week with a release on Tuesday and a release on Thursday. It's still kind of TBD, but as long as you're following the YouTube page or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you should be able to keep track. And then we'll be posting. We'll do a lot better job about posting on social media as well versus what we did in the past too. I was a bit flaky about that. So definitely going to do a better job there. But just honestly really excited to get back doing some type of show. The last 9 months have kind of been crazy for me. Started a new job selling golf simulators with the best golf simulator company in the world. Golf technology company in the world, actually, is a much better put. And then moved out of the condo in Royal Oak into a house that I just spent the last 9 months or 8 months renovating the basement. So just been staying busy, even though we have not been on the airwaves.
Yeah. Before I get into what I've been doing, I got one little thing, because I was wearing this earlier today. R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Motown Sports. So those that have listened to us in the past, Going to Work Pod, I thought that was a lot of fun doing that. I mean, we did that. I mean, we couldn't have started at a worse time. So, I mean, hopefully we're not starting this one when another pandemic's about to start.
Could you imagine?
Dude, if that happens, then I think we can't stop ever again. Because if we ever come back, things are going to hell in the world. So, but yeah, I mean, we started that in early 2020 and then went into COVID, not talking about sports on a sports podcast. And then somehow down the road, I think in 2021, we started the bet and cover. I think that only lasted for the 1 year.
Yeah.
We were terrible gamblers, so realized that wasn't our forte.
We had a couple weeks.
That was the last time that we did a podcast, just us two together. I haven't done any other podcasting. So the last 9 months, I also started a new job. Switch sides. I now do plaintiff's work for still in a journey. Still in South Carolina, but I'm also moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Attorneys-in-law are back in right now. Everyone's watching Suits again on Netflix, or I think Peacock as well too. So you've got the dream job right now.
So it might have been mentioned the first time ever for me to watch it on Going to Work. I did watch it at some point before it got put on Netflix, and then I have rewatched it since.
I'm actually still in the process of rewatching it.
Well, have you seen Lincoln Lawyer yet?
No, I have not, but I assume it's probably
seen the movie?
As good. No.
Okay.
I think we had this conversation off air.
Probably.
It's like that's the second role that Matthew McConaughey had as a lawyer. The first one was A Time to Kill with Samuel L. Jackson.
Also phenomenal movie.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought the movie was great, and then shortly after I saw the movie, they came out with the show, and now they're done 2 seasons of it. And I think it just got renewed for a third one coming out too, next year, the year after, whatever.
It's the year of the lawyers.
I mean,
the year of the lawyers.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I've been up to. Living the beach life, close to the beach, and it was over 100 degrees here today. So we're still the midst of summer here, which is good.
Well, and you're dodging hurricanes now. Now you're in the fun part of the season. Football season and hurricane season.
Yeah. Idalia did swing by and didn't do too much to South Carolina. But there is another one coming, and I don't think that's going to be hitting the U.S. at all. At least that's the hope.
You better knock on some wood, pal.
Dude, this one's massive, too. This is...
Yeah, they said like Category 4, Category 5 already.
Dude, like, immediately. Yeah. It looks like it's going to just not hit any land mass. So even Puerto Rico and all that's going to be safe. At least that's what they're saying now.
What, is it just spinning out there in the ocean, just having a good old time?
Yeah, it's still not all the way there to the islands in the Caribbean. So the hope is it stays more north. I think the only threat to the United States, at least as of current projections, would be like North Carolina, Virginia, which is crazy if they get hit with the fucking hurricane up there. That's just insane.
Well, now you're a meteorologist. Look at you go.
Oh, I'm so enamored by fucking weather, dude. It's so interesting watching some of these guys talk about this shit like every day. It's like, damn. The 2 days ago, this wasn't even a fucking storm, and now it's already going to be a hurricane. By the time everyone's listening to this, it's already going to be a hurricane.
My favorite thing is the conspiracy theorists out there about weather machines and the plane lines out there in the world, the grid lines that, trying to control the weather. Always makes for a good conversation.
Yeah, it's too bad that I think the problem with this storm is that one plane that had all the diarrhea was supposed to make this thing spin one way or another, and now the plane got landed, so now it's just going out of control because no one can control it.
God damn. Yeah, no, that's obviously hoping that stays away from you. Maybe you just get out there and swim some laps out there in the beach and just get the tide going out a certain way. So weather's simple to control.
Yeah, if only.
I mean, I guess the other big thing, I mean, we'll talk about it more too as, golf season's pretty much done and over with as far as like the major tournaments go. And
well, the season actually is over. It ended last weekend.
Well, it did, but the new season's already starting back up. So,
well, it's the fake season until the new season starts in early January.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's some golf guy. I am. I totally forgot they got the fall schedule this year. It's not even the wraparound season anymore.
Is that true? I was trying to research that. Is that actually how that works now?
I'm pretty sure. Like, there's no,
because there's still. It looked like they were still awarding FedEx points.
Dude,
so that's why I was confused. Because I thought the same thing. Because like if you look up 24 golf season, it doesn't mention anything about like because there's a golf tournament this upcoming weekend, and like there's shit going on throughout the fall, but they don't mention it being like part of the 24 season. But some of them say they're awarding FedEx points.
I mean, it could. I mean, I got to get back into my sports loop a little bit better now that I've got this basement renovated and good to go. I'll be in a much better spot. But jury's still out on the golf schedule. I don't even think they know what they're doing, to be honest. I mean, we can really go down a rabbit hole right now.
That's true.
I don't. Yeah. PGA Tour and Live Golf don't even know what they're doing right now. So I think it's okay if we don't know what's going on because they don't even know what's going on.
Is that supposed to start with this season? Like everybody's back together?
Still another $1 million question.
See, so golf, people play for money for the next couple months, and while football's going on, and no one cares. That's all you need to know. You can bet on it still, but
well, all I know is by the time the Masters rolls around in April, we'll have it all figured out.
When's the Ryder Cup?
A couple weeks, end of September. So
yeah, I guess
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks. Maybe next week we'll talk about the picks. No, you can't. I mean, it's a little past that, but when the Ryder Cup comes back around, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
We're golf guys on this podcast.
Yeah, golf's not bad. I like Victor.
He's Victor Hovland. Yeah, but he's not on the USA team, so you can't root for him. Well, by the way, did you see the story that just came out about his Tinder profile that was going around?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like picture. There's no way. I mean, that had to be fake, right?
There's no way that's real, right?
I mean, that would be all-time flex. Just posting pictures with trophies as your.
I also
Tinder
think
profile.
a guy that's rich and that famous doesn't have to have a Tinder.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, wouldn't it just be funny to do it? Because no one would expect it.
My favorite thing about Victor is the video of him sitting in a golf cart and all his buddies are over on the hill trying to find balls in the rough, and he just turns to the camera and just starts laughing at him.
I don't think that guy's ever had a bad time in his life.
No, he looks like he's fucking good time. He's really good at fucking golf.
Yeah, it's not bad. He could actually go on a tear. He's going to go on a Scotty Scheffler type tear over the next 6 months. I'm calling that shot now. I know we're again not getting into the golf talk too much.
No, but we can talk about anything on this podcast. That's the whole point.
That is true. It's the Nick Leach Show. We can talk about anything. Yeah, that's right. It's our world. Everyone else is just living in it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look at that. We've already got hurricanes, weather conspiracies, and Victor Hovland covered within the first 10 minutes.
Easy
does it. All right, we got anything else? Any other big stories before we jump into? I do actually have one that I was hanging around on. We have not addressed that because this is our first show back. But the fact that Twitter is called X now, but if you go and search Twitter on Google, it still takes you right to X/Twitter. So
it's still called Twitter.com, is it not? Like if I Google. I just type Google in my search bar, it just goes Twitter.com.
I'm a little afraid to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to type X.com.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
Oh, it actually takes you right to Twitter.
Oh, does it?
Did you not?
Okay.
Yeah. Literally takes you straight to Twitter. How about that? All right, was not expecting that.
I got a good
so they're essentially like the Live and PGA. They can't figure out what's going on over on Twitter either. Or X, whatever you want to call it. I'm always calling it Twitter. It's been Twitter for...
It's going to be Twitter forever.
15 years.
It's going to be Twitter forever.
And if you actually turn your phone sideways, the X looks like a lowercase t, so...
Does it?
I mean, it's an X, dude. What else do you think it's going to look like?
An X? If you turn it sideways, it's going to still be an X?
No, if you turn it sideways, like a 45...
It's still an X.
Well, no, if you turn it like a 45-degree angle, it looks like a T. I should have been a little more forward about it.
An X is symmetrical, so it's the same no matter what direction you look at.
Yeah. That's all right. At least I haven't messed up.
Same old.
Some things never change. What were you gonna say? You said you get...
Yeah, we could transition into football, but because I got a good... Because we searched Twitter, and one of the things that popped up in my For You page is Des Bryant. I'm predicting Caleb Williams, so we'll start here for college football.
Best news breaking story of the day so far.
Yeah, so before we get to the news breaking about that, but Des Bryant predicting Caleb Williams to guess the team.
Des Bryant is predicting who he's going to go to?
Yeah, this is a shocking team for him to go to.
All right, so obviously first overall pick.
This team will not be for drafting first overall.
This is off the cuff here, and I'm only thinking because of previous closed head injuries. I'm going with Miami Dolphins.
That is correct.
No way, are you serious?
Yeah.
Let's go.
He says, bookmark this tweet. I don't know that they got anything to fucking trade still for that.
Do they have? I don't even know if they have their first overall pick this year. Do they?
I mean, they got Tyreek Hill. I mean, they got rid of everything for.
No, but they had three. Yeah, but they had 3 first-round picks, I think, last year. And they didn't have their first-round pick this past year because they lost it due to, their owner, doing the stuff with Tom Brady or colluding. I don't know, something with Sean Payton. I can't remember exactly what it was, but.
That's a wild team, but
how about that guess though?
Wild that just popped up.
I'm impressed with myself. How about that? I mean, is he expecting Tua just to get hit by a bus or something week 1?
Dude, I mean, that team's. I mean, we'll talk about the NFL, but yeah, I don't think that team's going to be competing for a top 5 position in the draft this year.
All right, so even if Tua does go down, do you know who their backup QB is? I'm searching it right now, so you don't have to. Oh, there's no chance.
Yeah,
I mean, there's.
I think. Hold on, I think I do. This guy started a decent amount of games too, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
God damn, I know who this is, but I don't know who this is.
No chance they lose. I mean, they might even be better off
with the backup.
There's a chance. I mean, it's been some hope.
Damn, give me a hint without giving it away. I know I should know.
Same division he played in last year.
Yeah, I think I was already thinking about that. So it's Mike White.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So even if Tua were to go down, I think Mike White and that offense could still win you 5 or 6 games if Tua went down at the beginning of the year.
If Mike White only plays for 5 games max, I don't know that he could lead a team all year.
Well, I mean, I don't think they'd have any other choice, unless here's the other. Well, no, I don't think it could happen now. Like if Tua did go down, then Stephen Ross could go out and get Tom Brady finally, which what he was trying to do when he lost the draft pick to begin with. So, but Tom Brady is a part owner of the Raiders now, so that I don't think that can happen.
It can't. I don't think you could play for another NFL team.
Correct. But moral of the story is
colluding. Yeah.
Moral of the story is the Dolphins. There's no chance they have the first overall pick.
No, 0.
And then I guess all right. So this can kind of segue into our first topic, which is Caleb Williams. Well, not necessarily Caleb Williams himself, but his dad, Carl Williams, came out today and said that if the Arizona Cardinals, I think it was more of I don't think he was generalizing who it was, but if the Arizona Cardinals are the first overall pick who are projected to have it this upcoming season with Kyler's health uncertain, there's thoughts that Caleb Williams could forego the draft and go back to USC and play another year there, which I think would be insane to happen. I'll be surprised. I don't think Caleb Williams has come out and said that yet, but his dad pretty much said that if you're the first overall pick, you're essentially getting a disservice because you're coming into a bad situation. But that's
not wrong.
I mean, he's not wrong by any means, but that's the point. That's the exact point of the NFL draft. That's why they've created it to where they're at. But it does seem like this year in general, there's already been more talks about tanking in the NFL than there has been in, I would say, years past.
The Cardinals are actively doing it.
Correct.
I mean, they're trading away players. They're starting Josh Dobbs. It's active taking. And with how college football is set up now, I don't see why they wouldn't, or why college kids would not just stay in college. If they don't like the team that if they're projected number 1 overall and they don't like the team that they're going to end up going to, stay next year, maybe I don't know what the number 1 pick earns in the NFL exactly, but I imagine Caleb Williams could be making close to $4 or $5 million if he wanted to come back to USC next year.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely getting, especially a guy like that. He's already got his guaranteed money from NIL deals, and who knows what's going on behind the scenes with boosters. That stuff's even more probably covered up nowadays versus being an actual.
Well, and next year he won't be playing on Pac-12 Network in Week 0, where he's not on national television. He'll be part of the Big Ten, traveling cross country and getting his name everywhere. So
maybe that's what his dad
increased to teams like that.
Maybe his dad should have just came out and said that. It's like, no, actually, we're thinking instead of like talking about the NFL, just start floating the idea out there. It's like, no, he actually want to come back for a year and play the Big Ten just to see what that's like. That would have been a great take by his dad. Just not even
12 team playoff.
Yeah, I mean, just it's the minors of the NFL, but it's still going to be exciting. Maybe Caleb Williams wants to be the first person to say that he's won the 12-team playoff.
Or the Heisman multiple times.
That
won't be the first person to say that, but he would be the first person. Someone's won them multiple times, right?
Yeah, he'd be the first like back-to-back Heisman winner since like I don't know, long before you and I were even born. So, so I was just looking up the how much in the number one pick will make. So the projected contract for the number one pick in the 2023 NFL draft is roughly $41,217,000 with an estimated signing bonus of $26 million and a 2023 cap of $7 million. So I don't think he's going to make that.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to make that in college football. So
the signing bonus makes a difference.
yeah, that's just stupid money right there. So it would be insane. But how about his dad just coming out, second weekend of college football and just saying, hey, we're already thinking about not going to the NFL because the Cardinals are not in good shape.
That I don't blame the guy. I mean, he's pulling a Manning before his season's even close to being over.
I will say, though, I've seen some videos of Jonathan Gannon, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and I don't think I'd want to play for that guy either if I was Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean, probably fired year one. I don't know, because they're actively tanking, so they probably aren't going to do that, but it's happened recently to coaches, so wouldn't be surprised if they just say, fuck it, see ya. Thanks for getting us through this bad year. Now you'll never be another head coach. There's been one person to win the Heisman twice. Do you know who it is?
Was it like the 1960s?
70s.
Oh, one person to win it twice?
Mm-hmm.
And it was back-to-back, though, right?
Yeah, 75 or 74, 75.
They said it the other day on the broadcast, and I can't remember who it was. Oh, wait.
Big name.
Joe Namath?
Mm-mm.
No, that was before.
Running back.
I was going to say Jim Brown, but that was before. He was a running back in the Big Ten?
Mm-hmm.
And is he a Hall of Famer in the NFL?
Probably not. I don't know, is he? No, he's in the College Football Hall of Fame, not in the NFL.
Oh.
Didn't think.
I'm out. I have no idea who it is.
Archie Griffin.
Yeah, I was not going to. I knew it was something with an A because like I said, they just talked about him, but whatever. Shout out Archie. I do think Caleb Williams is going to be the first to go back to back.
Wins the Heisman twice, only 2,800 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns in the NFL. Oof.
It was a different game back then. That was, I feel like the discrepancy between college football and the NFL then versus where it's at now had to be just vastly different.
Yeah, dude, that's tough.
You'd have to go through and look at all the opponents that they were playing. I'm sure there's a few question marks on there, even though it still was the 70s.
He played for the Bengals. I didn't even know he played for the Bengals. Don't know much about him. Probably because he sucked in the NFL.
Yeah, that's why I didn't know who he was.
Maybe he shouldn't have came back. He won it. He won it in his senior year with only 4 rushing touchdowns. That's some fucked up shit. How bad was 1975?
Well, I was like, I don't think there was any big war or anything going on at that time.
I don't know, when was Vietnam?
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of players went to Vietnam like they did World War II. I mean, they stopped all sports then. Look at that. We've mentioned war in this podcast, weather, Archie Griffin, Victor Hovland. Hot start to this variety show.
That guy sucked, dude. That's 1,400 yards, but dude, 4 touchdowns and you win a Heisman?
You want to take his Heismans away? At least one of them?
At least the second one.
Yeah, if Reggie Bush got his Heisman take away one of Archie Griffin's. With all due respect.
Dude, that was, yeah.
Just for how bad.
And you're not an NFL Hall of Famer? How the fuck you win the Heisman twice?
Tough look, Arch. Gotta at least go out and answer the call. Get in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Imagine your best. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, Caleb Williams. How about that? Or Carl Williams. I'm still waiting on Caleb Williams' response, but I haven't seen it yet. So who knows if he'll even have to say something.
Draft.
I mean, I'm not passing up on that kind of money. And Arizona's not it's not a traditionally bad spot to go to either. It's just
no, and it keeps no, it's fine.
I would take it as a compliment that a team's willing to just throw away money this year and success just to get me.
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever seen it be so purposeful. Not at the beginning of a year like this. They'll trade
Correct.
more too. I imagine we'll see some midseason trades out of Arizona.
Oh, for sure. It's just a matter of time. All right, keeping in the college football realm. I guess the spot we want to go, probably the second biggest story. I mean, this is pretty much taking over the entire nation. Is Deion Sanders, Colorado Buffaloes, just going out and whooping the shit out of TCU this past weekend.
I wouldn't call it that. They won the game by 3 points.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about based on the spread. We're talking spread here, Steady. So they were what, two or three score underdogs going into this game?
Something like that, 20 points, I think.
So technically they won by 20-something points. So I think my statement stays valid.
Sure. I mean, TCU's not any good either. It's also a Big 12 fucking defense. We'll see what they do against Nebraska. I think they're going to have trouble. I mean, dude, that defense for Colorado is not good. Very bad.
Travis Hunter's really good, though.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, we all knew he was great. I think he was the number 1 recruit and went to Jackson State, and he played down. I mean, you can't give up over 500 yards and expect you're a good team. Sure, the offense looked phenomenal, but also I think TCU should not have been ranked to start the year. Lost all your offensive power from the team a year ago. I think they just got a pity 17th overall coming into the season. We'll never see them ranked again this year. They're borderline a bowl team. Same with Colorado. I don't think either of these teams are very good. The Pac-12 didn't lose a game, or hasn't lost a game yet. USC's
first time that's ever happened.
I think there's some really good teams out there. Oregon State looks good. USC, Oregon, Washington State. There's some good teams in the Pac-12, and its final rendition. And I don't think Colorado has a sniffing chance at ending up in the top 4 in that league. Yeah, good for them. I think you also have to take this with another way, is that this isn't the 1-11 team that Colorado had last year that Deion took over. He just didn't take over that team. He brought a whole new team in. So we're seeing a huge difference, and we'll talk about another team that doesn't know how to use the transfer portal, and it bit them in the ass royally, and their season's already over. I think what he's doing is definitely changing how things work, but he's not the only program that flipped 60 guys. There's a handful of teams that have flipped 60 guys on their roster. He's just the most outspoken guy, and that's why people hate him. I don't.
Are you a Deion guy, or are you not a Deion guy?
I think his arrogance is just unwarranted. I don't think you've done anything. I mean, you didn't win at Jackson State. I mean, it wasn't like you were winning titles down at Jackson State or doing anything phenomenal there. And he's coaching at Colorado. They're just not good. They're not making the 14 playoff this year. A 12-team playoff, they're going to be in the Big 12 next year, which is a down Big 12 too, because it's losing Texas and Oklahoma. Maybe you do something there because there's no one else you fucking play. It's just the nature of the beast, and maybe you could sneak into a 12-team playoff. But I would be shocked if we see Deion in the next 5 years in a semifinal game.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's. I think the goal for him is to have just turn around the program, and then by the time another big job opens up, that's where he's ultimately gonna bounce to. And I think he will get that job, but I couldn't tell you which college it's gonna be. I mean, who knows? Maybe Nick Saban. No, I'm just kidding. But
Alabama's not hiring Deion.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I don't know. I think it's a long play. I think it's just another stepping stone, much like, and maybe Mel Tucker did that stepping stone much sooner just to get to a bigger program. But it's, I mean, very recent history has a Colorado coach left and gone on to a bigger program within a bigger conference. So I definitely don't think this is the last stop for Deion. I don't think ultimately, yeah, he's going to put a team out there that's going to compete, but I don't think he's going to ever put out a national championship team. I'm not going to lie though, I'd be pumped if for some reason that does happen within the first 2 years of him being there. But I see this as kind of like a 2 or 3 year deal at max, and then he's going to end up finding his way to a bigger program. So I don't know. I
wonder. I don't know.
I appreciate Deion's personality though. He's always just spoken his mind and says it how it is, and he's always been that flashy player, that flashy coach, or that's just at the end of the day who he is, and his game's always backed it up, right? Like in the NFL, you saw it there. I mean, he was able to go out and land some of the biggest recruits at all time at a FCS school, which that was something we've never seen before. But I know the big part of it is like it doesn't matter unless you're winning, right? But at the same time, too, it's a fun storyline. I don't care what you said. It's fun to talk about, especially the first couple weeks of the season when there's not really any big games going on. I'm all in on the Deion storyline right now.
Yeah, I mean, he can't come out and lose to Nebraska. Not the way Nebraska played last week. If he comes out and loses to Nebraska, this means nothing. Absolutely nothing to me, being TCU. I mean, if he loses to Nebraska, he won't make a bowl game. The Pac-12 is that good. I think he's going to have trouble finding 4 wins in the Pac-12. That's just how good the Pac-12 is this year, and I think he's going to have trouble doing it if he loses to Nebraska. And so I think this is going to be one of the most watched games. Nebraska's got a huge fan base. They got a first-year coach, and they looked awful playing Minnesota. But this is also a real defense. It's a Big Ten defense. Big Ten knows how to play defense. If you play anybody in the Big 12, you're seeing scores in the 40s nonstop because no one knows how to play defense there. So we'll see what that offense can do. Yeah, I mean, Travis Hunter is the real deal. I mean, the guy is a first-round draft pick whenever he decides to leave college, hands down. It'll be interesting to see what he does in the NFL, like how he's used and what position he's used. Because even like Jabril Peppers is probably the most recent guy to do two-way stuff, or at least at a big school on a national platform. And even him didn't really do anything offensively. He was a kick returner and defensive back. So that's probably where Travis Hunter excels, as being a DB more than offensively. But he could be used the same way once he gets to the NFL, and that will be electric. And I mean, the guy's good. I mean, we knew he was good coming out of college too. He had all the hype. School. Yeah, out of high school. Yeah, he had all the hype. So that doesn't surprise me that he's doing well against a Power 5 school. That doesn't surprise me at all. I'm just more interested in how the team does, and I just don't think they're a good team. I mean, I get they beat TCU, but I don't think TCU is good either. I think both teams are borderline bowl eligible teams.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, it's still for him to come out and take over again. I know you said it's not the same, and that's why I was surprised to see. I think the win total for them or over under was 3.5 games. Yeah, 3.5 games this year. And with him flipping the entire roster, I was like, it's surprising that it's that low, but at the same time, it's just a bunch of unknowns and uncertainties. So I don't know, the fact that he was able to at least go out, and it was on the road at TCU too. I think that's, another little blip in the story as well too. And my favorite
one thing then,
are you going to make the comment about the way
people saying "fuck you" to him?
Yeah,
I think that's ridiculous. To think that opposing schools are not saying that to Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, anybody else, that Jim Harbaugh at Ohio State or Ryan Day at U of M, like every fucking coach gets that going into another school, especially when you're very, very vocal about how good your team is. Yeah, you're gonna get shit talking no matter where you go. So for someone to say, I can't remember who it fucking was, I think he wanted to play a race card, but so be it. I mean, there's going to be people that hate Deion because he's not white, but that's not the point of what his post was. It's that he pointed out about Nick Saban. I can't remember was it Lane Kiffin that he named too.
It was some of the bigger coaches, but
whoever else he named. But dude, have you seen Lane Kiffin walk into fucking Tennessee? He's got fucking golf balls thrown at his ass.
I did think that comment was hilarious though, because all it takes is one Google search or one Twitter search, and the matter of seconds, you're gonna have. I think they had the one year at Auburn or something. The student section was cheering or chanting "Fuck you, Saban," and
that's what I'm saying. Like it happens everywhere.
To me, it's like, all right, he knows this isn't true, but he's just gonna say it anyways because he's just unapologetically himself. And for that, I appreciate. So I know I love Deion.
Deion didn't say that. That was somebody else that said it about Deion.
I think it was like maybe one of the players or one of the.
It was I think it was some reporter or some. I don't know. Some guy that was trying to say that Deion's getting all this hate for practically just being Deion and not being one of these other named coaches.
Yeah, and then there was videos of people in the student section at TCU yelling at him too, and he was like clapping and like egging it on. It's like that. No,
Yeah.
that's college football. That is college football.
Yes.
That's what when you go into an opponent's stadium, that's what you want to hear happen to you. So,
and it could just be people that follow Deion from an NFL perspective, because you don't see that nearly as much in the NFL. Maybe some of the players get hate going to certain places, especially from like a rival team. So like Steelers going to Baltimore or Cleveland or vice versa and stuff like that. But the college level is so much different. It's college kids drunk from tailgating all morning to go to the game. It's a totally different atmosphere than an NFL game. It's not even the same sport in that sense. And you're gonna get hate walking into any college stadium, being in an opposing school, especially if you are very vocal about how your team's chances going into that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in. If Deion makes, I don't know, if he somehow magically wins 8 or 9 games this year, I mean, I think that would just be electric for college football. And again, it's not going to get you a college football playoff or anything like that, but I mean, it's another great storyline for me, it's a great storyline to kick off the year. I feel like it's because of that. I always feel like the first couple weeks of college football are a little bit slow, and I know there's 2 other games we're going to talk about that maybe make it not seem like that, but I don't know. The Deion storyline for the last couple weeks, it's kind of what college football has been. I'm all for it because now I just feel like we're already in the heart of it, and there's actually games like now you're going to go watch a Colorado game versus Nebraska game that you probably wouldn't have ever cared about last season, but now you actually got some vested interest just because of the storylines going into it. So all in on the Deion Sanders storyline right now.
Is that big noon kickoff? It's on Fox.
Yeah, Fox at noon. So I wouldn't be surprised. They're buying into the hype as well too. I did see a bunch of prime like Colorado hoodies and stuff were sold out like immediately after the game, or it could have even been just before the game on Saturday. So
yeah, Colorado's a 3-point favorite, and the over under is only 59.5.
I will say I went to to Boulder and we drove through the campus and everything at Colorado. What a badass place to go to school. I mean, I
imagine it's nice.
Just unbelievable. And the stadium's right there, just beneath the mountains. I mean, what an atmosphere. Especially now that he's there. Well, I know season tickets are already sold out, but
it's a big stadium.
I mean, it's not very big, but who knows? Maybe they're going to expand it now that he's there.
ESPN Analytics actually has Nebraska as the favorite, 58% chance to win. Vegas has a Colorado -3, like I said.
All right, so I've got the rest of the schedule up for Colorado. What do you think for a home game? I'm just on ESPN here. What do you think the lowest ticket price?
Okay, I won't click on that then.
For one of their games are.
I think I just saw it's like a 60-person stadium, 60K stadium.
Which is, you say it's a small stadium, but like that's the size of NFL stadiums.
I mean, yeah, but that's like almost half the size of some of the Big Ten stadiums.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because you're asking me this because it's going to be expensive. So 180.
No, I mean it's not as bad as you
Well,
would think.
actually,
But,
so let me see. So cheapest
so here, I'll
cheapest
give
game
you
is Colorado State, correct?
cheapest game. No,
Stanford or
no,
Arizona?
Arizona.
That's only because it's the last one too. Still right now.
Yeah,
Colorado State, I guess that makes sense. In-state rival.
right.
So yeah, go ahead. You can go ahead and tell me. That's fine.
$97.
How much?
Which I get $97 is the cheapest ticket. But that's for a Saturday, November 11th game. That's only going to go up from here on out. But point is, if this was the same time last year, I guarantee those games are probably like $30.
Yeah. I mean, I was just looking at Michigan Ohio State tickets. You know the cheapest ticket that they had this morning?
It's in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Or no, it's in Columbus.
It's in Ann Arbor.
$280.
Oh, dude, it's almost double that. It's like $460.
God damn.
Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend. You got to plan for that fucking 3 months in advance for $500.
That's right. We do football different up here in Big Ten country.
That's 100,000 people at those prices. Jesus Christ, that's so much money on one day.
Well, and they're allowing alcohol sales inside the stadium now too.
Oof. That's
It's
insane.
not a bad time to be a faculty employee at the University of Michigan. I'd be asking for a raise in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, you're wrecking, and oh my god, I can only imagine how much alcohol they sell.
Oh, especially all the fake IDs running around there too.
That's the other part. Yeah.
All right, shifting gears over to let's talk since we're kind of on the coach bandwagon here. Talk Duke Clemson from this past weekend. Duke went out and beat now I can honestly say Duke did beat the ever living hell out of Clemson this weekend. I don't have the final score up in front of me, but I did watch. I think it was 28-7.
28-7.
Yeah, it was the final score to that game, and Clemson got a lot of shit. I wouldn't say Clemson. DJU, not even going to try to pronounce his last name. I could do it. I just got to talk real slow, but talking slow is just not my nature. But he got a lot of shit last year for not being the quarterback. And, I mean, they chased him off all the way to Oregon State. And I don't know. Sounds like it could be more of a coaching staff issue than it is a player issue that down there at good old Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't even lost. I don't think the score is completely what this game was. I mean, first off, Clemson's kicker couldn't get it over the line, or their line couldn't block. They had 2 kicks that were blocked, and they fumbled twice inside the 10, or I think maybe even both inside the 5. And so that's 6 points plus another 12 guaranteed. I mean, that's a tie game at this point. So that being said, yeah, there was definitely a bunch of issues. They couldn't figure out offensively. And after talking about Dion doing all these transfers, Dabo doesn't want to do that. He's, I think, brought in 1 transfer this year. Probably not the move. If they have a bad year and he doesn't go out and get transfers, and then they have a bad year again next year, especially, we'll talk about Florida State here in a second, with what they did in the transfer portal and how they looked against the number 5 team in the country. Dabo's dynasty is coming to a quick halt, and it hasn't been pretty very recently. So Clemson, I think, has a lot of issues they got to figure out very quickly. They play Florida State here in 2 weeks. I don't know that's going to look good unless they can figure out how to hold on to the football or figure out how to do the offense. Cade Klubnik's QBR was 27.
Hey, they've got God's name, image, and likeness, though, Steady. That's all Dabo needs.
Well, he's been on the record saying that he was going to not be a head coach when all this NIL stuff started going on, and clearly he's not embracing it enough, because if you can only get 1 transfer into Clemson after their recent success, and something's wrong, and you got to at least be able to fill in the gaps on your team. They don't really have a wide receiver, and that's going to be an issue for a true sophomore quarterback that didn't really play last year.
If you go back to, you look at all those good Clemson teams, and that was like wide receiver university.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, they have tons of wide receivers come out of that school. And, I mean, good quarterbacks, too. I mean, Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the team – Will Shipley could be a first-round draft pick. Comparing him to a current guy that just got drafted, Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, the guy can catch and run. He's a smaller kind of back like that, and probably could be a first-round draft pick with how the running back position goes now. So, I mean, they got a great running back. It's just, can the quarterback figure out how to throw to wide receivers that probably aren't first-round talent wide receivers or second-round talent wide receivers? Probably not. But on the other side, Duke, what a second half. Riley Leonard, I do think he's an NFL quarterback. First off, talk about throwing to nobody. He has nobody on that team. Absolutely nobody. I think he's got the stature. He reminds me a lot of Daniel Jones. And I like Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is a solid NFL quarterback. I think he's in the top half of the league for sure.
Oh, no chance.
He's easily a top 15 quarterback.
Daniel Jones?
Probably a top 10 quarterback, yeah.
No, not 10.
Yes.
No, steady. No chance is he a top 10 quarterback.
I think so. He needs some fucking weapons. That team has nobody.
All right. Sidebar here. Who are your top 10 quarterbacks if he's in that top 10? Is he 9 or 10? I hope he's at 10 at least.
Yeah, he's probably like 8, 9, or 10, somewhere in there. So we'll go then. Mahomes, Hurts, Allen. Well, Joey B's probably top 5. I don't think he's that great, but
that's 4.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I'm running out of guys already. Kirk Cousins is definitely a top 10 quarterback. Who else am I forgetting? Aaron Rodgers.
I feel like you just mentioned one a second ago that played at Clemson.
Is Trevor Lawrence a top 10 quarterback?
He's better than Daniel Jones. I know that much.
I don't know that he is.
Oh, come on, Steady.
Right
Yes,
now?
he is. I guarantee you Trevor Lawrence is going to be in talks at some point during the season for MVP.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. He's got the guys to throw to. I mean, that wide receiving core those top 2 guys are top notch compared to anybody else in top 2s. Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. Name the top 2 wide receivers that Daniel Jones is throwing to.
He's got Sterling Shepard.
Darius Slayton. His best receivers is tight end, Darren Waller.
And those are actually, I don't even, is Sterling Shepard still there?
No, I don't think so. Slayton is, though.
Dude,
that's what I'm saying, though. So hold on. Who else is a good quarterback? Lamar Jackson. Forgot him.
Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely ahead of Trevor Lawrence, too. I would have put Stafford in there. I just don't know that he's top 10 anymore. I think his age has gotten to him now.
I think if he stays healthy, I mean, he's easily.
He could be, but I mean, he just also lost Cooper Kupp. And then, God, I like Derek Carr a lot too. Goff. But I don't think Daniel Jones is much different than Derek Carr or Jared Goff.
I don't know. I was in New York last year when Goff and the Lions beat the hell out of the Giants, and Daniel Jones did not look good whatsoever.
He just doesn't have anyone to throw to. You put some pieces around him, the guy can run.
The Giants believe in him.
Yeah, I think the guy deserves the contract. You put some pieces. I mean, they were a playoff team last year.
All right. I'm just saying I wouldn't touch Daniel Jones with a 10-foot pole if I was a GM of a team, but that's why I'm not a GM of a team.
I don't know. I think he's solid. And well, back to Riley Leonard, I still think he's a good quarterback. He will be drafted this upcoming year, probably 3rd round, 4th round, unless Duke goes on a run and they're contending for the ACC. You could see a 1st-round draft pick there. His QBR was 85. I mean, he went 17 for 33, 175 yards, but he had 100 yards on the ground and a touchdown. His touchdown run was electric.
Yeah, it was nasty.
I can't remember the Clemson's defensive player off the top of my head, but that's a potential first-round draft pick that he broke the tackle in the backfield to run for 98 yards, or not 98 yards, but 60 yards or something like that. So I think Riley Leonard's good. The craziest thing about Duke, though, the game took forever at the end. So little sidebar too, the new rule for clock to continue running, could care less. Doesn't make much of a difference to me. A bunch of people bitching about it. Could care less. Cool, we lose 6 plays a game. Don't care at all. Let the clock run. Doesn't matter. The NFL does it. We're used to it. But the fact that like 2 minutes left, kids were already jumping over the walls to rush that field, and how nobody ended up doing it and running out onto the field is impressive. Also a nerd school, so probably not that impressive, but still kind of impressive. But because there was tons of kids,
rule followers,
tons of kids on the sidelines over the stands, just waiting to rush that field. Also,
it wasn't just kids. Like I was watching grown adults climb over the wall.
Well, my favorite thing was the Duke coach was getting interviewed after the game, and right behind him was a dad with his like 8-year-old son right next to him.
Yeah, he was doing like hand gestures. In the camera. I was like, what is this? I was like, dude, take your son home. It's past his bedtime.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, also not a cool scene if you do the overhead view of Duke's fans on the sidelines on the field because they didn't fill the field. It was kind of embarrassing, especially when you see like pictures of Michigan beating Ohio State a couple years ago and they stormed the field, and then Tennessee last year against Alabama and you can't see the field. You could see most of the field at Duke with all of them on the field. So a little embarrassing, but it's still cool to see. But I think Clemson has tons of problems.
There was only 30,000 people there versus the 110,000 that are at the Big House. So
yeah, true.
Little different. No, so I know the people were sitting there saying that like, you know, it was super easy to root for Duke at the end of this game because they hate Dabo so much, and I don't know. Every time I think Duke, I just think of their basketball team, and I just cannot stand Duke basketball, even if I understand they're playing football. But I don't know. I was hoping for it to be a close game, but I don't know. I think Dabo's gotta figure it out. He just can't go off of God's name, image, and likeness because God ain't playing for him.
Yeah, I mean, they got some trouble. I mean, so talking about them coming forward, they got 2 bye games coming up at home, and then they host Florida State. Florida State's now number 4 in the country, and then they also host Notre Dame and host North Carolina. Also play at Miami and at South Carolina. So unlikely that we talk about Clemson again the rest of the year. Unless they defeat Florida State.
Somehow they're still the 25th ranked team in the country, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, how do you lose the first week and get mollywopped by Duke, and you're still 0-1, but you're still the 25th ranked team in the country? Like, that Dabo called in a favor on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, looking at the teams that are right behind them, though. You want to know who dropped out for Clemson to stay in, though? Who was number 25 last? I think they're 25 last week. Iowa. I just find that funny. They won their game and they got kicked out.
Yeah, like I make it make sense.
It doesn't bug me too much. I mean, Clemson will be out of here in 2 weeks. They're not beating Florida State, so we can move on to that game, I guess. Yeah,
Florida State looked good. I mean, Dabo. Dabo's not going anywhere. He just signed a big contract a couple of years ago, so no chance they're moving on from him. So I don't know. It's all like I will say I think it's hilarious. People get annoyed by his antics of when he comes running on the field. I'm hoping at some point in time that field is just a little wet and he slips and just wipes his ass down that. Because I've fallen down a hill caddying back in the day when it's been slippery, and you get a nice mud spot right on your ass, makes it look like you shit yourself. I am hoping that happens to Dabo before a game, and then they just keep panning to him on the sideline with just grass stains all over his khakis.
I also think the tradition is so dumb. Dude, they have to bus to their stadium. So stupid. That's what they do. They bus to the top of that hill and then run down the hill. That's so dumb. How the fuck have they won national championships and not have a locker room at that stadium? That makes no sense. Even if you put a fucking building up there, take the road out. you have all this money from winning national championships. You gotta be getting donations up the ass, and you can't put just a building right there and just have that be your thing and still run down the hill. The fact that you have to take a bus ride is insane.
I don't know. Maybe the Clemson Tiger fans love it. I mean, it's part of their tradition at this point.
Well, at this point,
I hope at some point in time they get like a fat coach that has to run down the hill. Like,
that'd be
imagine
hilarious.
can you imagine like Ed Ogeron running down the hill?
What they're gonna end up doing is getting getting those lifts that they have in stairs and just have it down a railing on the side, just going down the hill.
I would be all in for that. Coach O would be just kind of waving as you're going down.
Yeah, just waving as the team's running by him. Just
my God,
to the stands.
I would be all in for that. I'm all in. All right, kind of our last one of our last storylines here is the Florida State versus LSU game here. Anytime, I at one point I did like LSU, but Brian Kelly's your head coach now. If LSU loses the rest of their games, as long as he's the coach, I think it's hilarious. Just another coach that's tough to root for.
I think he gets ran out of town before Dabo does, and it could happen this year.
I was gonna say
bad happens.
Yeah, if things go as sideways as they did in week 1, there's a good chance Brian Kelly could be without a job. I think anywhere that he ever goes, unless it's like a very small school, he's on a short leash just because it's Brian Kelly.
Oh, he's gonna end up coaching like Virginia Tech next year, Iowa State, or he gets an NFL gig, which seen NFL teams in the past like weird coaches like that, Chip Kelly.
See, that's where I think like if Deion Sanders went to LSU, I know he played at Florida State, and that's ultimately where he'd love to be at. But if the LSU job opened up, that would be the perfect fit for Deion Sanders. I would be all in on the LSU Tigers if Deion Sanders was their head coach.
I don't know that Deion will want to take that job. I think it's the same situation that Brian Kelly's walking into. If you're not competing for an SEC quickly, they're going to run you out of town unless Deion can do that. And let's see what he does at Colorado first. But, that's got to be one of the toughest places to coach. I would agree to that. They ran Ogeron out of there so quickly after he won a national championship.
Yeah, it didn't take very long, right?
So yeah, I think Brian Kelly could be easily on the hot seat if they lose 4 games, they might be calling for his head quickly.
Which again, just another storyline to start the season that we're already talking about. Brian Kelly's job potentially being on the line is
it's hot.
It's icing on the cake to start the season. But I mean that game. It seemed like at first
cool campus though. LSU's a cool campus. I've been on that campus. They got a fucking tiger on their campus.
They do. I saw someone post a video. The tiger came like running up to the glass the other day.
It's fucking crazy. I went there in off season right before New Year, and no one's on campus, and there's just a fucking tiger in a cage there. It's fucking insane.
They do it different down there. But I will say Florida State looked very good after halftime. The first half, it didn't seem like either quarterback wanted to win the game between the turnovers that they had. But I mean, all in all, that was to me, it lived up to the hype that it was getting. Again, as much as we wanted it to be a little bit closer at the end, I thought it was a great game up until the very end where Florida State kind of just started pouring it on.
Yeah, I mean, Keon Coleman dominated this game.
Yeah. You think Michigan State would like to have him back?
I think they're going to find out real soon how much they've missed having a wide receiver like that. God, yeah. Dude, he went down. I don't think he ever did anything near like this at Michigan State, did he? I don't remember him having a game like this.
I think he had a couple 2-touchdown 100-yard games if I remember correctly.
Against anybody good like this though?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if it was, especially when LSU's defensive back university. That's what he did in his first game at Florida State was that was impressive. I already saw people putting him in the Heisman talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the biggest performances of the weekend. Problem is, he's going to have to keep crazy statistics up to be a wide receiver that wins the award, though. And the quarterbacks are just going to have to be underwhelming. But yeah, I mean, there's a transfer. That means you got to make transfers. You bring transfers in, your team's totally different. I mean, they kicked the shit out of LSU in the second half. It was never even close. You're talking about Duke kicking the shit out of Clemson. I think Clemson more or less fucked it themselves, but Florida State just manhandled LSU.
Yeah, Florida State looks like a dangerous team after. I mean, people had. I saw a few people talking, and they even had Florida State jumping in front of Michigan at number 2. It didn't happen, obviously, but
they have the second most first place votes in the AP poll.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, Florida State, look out. Look out.
Florida State got one more first place vote than Michigan did, but Florida State. They ended up still behind Alabama for number 4.
What I hope for is Florida State's just good all season long, and then they start talking about all the big bowl games in college football playoff, and then we just get Jameis Winston highlights from his time at Florida State.
I wouldn't mind seeing Florida State back in it.
I think it's always fun. That's why when people were kind of ripping on Clemson for being bad and Dabo being bad, not like it was always nice to have that little wrinkle at least while Alabama. I think it's always fun when you kind of throw a team that's, in the playoff picture at least every couple years. Like especially when Alabama, like I said, Alabama was winning all those games and, Florida State was competing. You had Oregon competing. It always seems like there's kind of one staple, like Georgia's kind of been the staple the last couple years. And then you've got your, obviously TCU, Michigan, and Ohio State were the 3 teams last year. But I think it's always fun, like to have some new blood come in each year. So I think as much as we've knocked the college football playoff being dumb for only having 4 teams, it's been, the variety of teams that have kind of gotten in, it's been just enough to keep you mixed up and interested, even though those teams haven't necessarily gone on to win the national championship.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think this could be one of the craziest years we have. I mean, all these new quarterbacks for every team outside of Michigan. So, TCU clearly won't make the playoff now. They've already lost their season. But all the other top teams outside of Michigan have brand new quarterbacks. And so I guess USC still has theirs too, but they also fucked themselves last year. So I think it's definitely going to be one of the best years of college football, and I think we could see 3, if not all 4 teams have a loss going into the college football playoff.
Also, too, like as a fellow Native American, I think the Tomahawk chant is one of the coolest thing in sports. Whether it's the Seminoles, the Seminoles, it's badass because you've got just a football stadium doing it. But like when the Braves have been in the playoffs last couple years, I think I don't know if I think the Cleveland Indians, I think their fan base kind of does it from time to time.
They at least used to do the drum with the chant. They used to have a guy up in the stands do the drum. Yeah,
it's a little bit weird because it's more known as like an Atlanta Braves thing. But there's people out there like, oh, that's super offensive. I was like, I don't know. I'm a fellow Native American, and I think it's just badass, like hearing all those people together. So
I think most Native Americans feel the same way.
I think Kirk Herbstreit on the broadcast the other night was saying how I think he like took video and was in the booth of the Tomahawk chant. He's like, I think he said I haven't seen this in person.
I think I remember him
this loud,
yeah.
And he wanted to capture it on his own phone. So like that just lets you know how cool of a chant that actually is.
I do remember him saying that. Yeah, that's right.
And that's also why I like when Florida State's good because you get to hear that more often, especially like under the lights. I don't know, super super cool.
I mean, their schedule's pretty light this year. I mean, they play at Clemson, like I said, in 3 weeks, and then they host Duke. That's the only other current ranked team. Other big teams they play host Miami and at Florida at the end of the year. So, I mean, you beat Clemson here in a couple of weeks. You probably take care of business against Duke at home, and that's an undefeated team.
Yeah, I think Florida State's got a pretty good path to the college football playoffs. So that'll be fun to watch. So don't really have too many other big storylines, at least from the college football world. I think that even probably went a bit longer than we thought, but whatever.
That's fine.
I mean, week 1, aside from week 1, there wasn't other big stories. I mean, Big Ten for the most part handled business. At least the teams that we root for. Steady, or Michigan fan, root for Michigan State. Michigan State actually looked fairly good in the second half, which wasn't necessarily how the first half looked. But I think you can say you see that a lot, at least with the first games of the year. Everyone kind of getting back in the swing of things. So, who knows?
Their problem is going to be their quarterback. You can't have a quarterback with his last name Kim. Sorry.
I did see someone on Twitter, and I saw a Michigan fan lighting him up. Is someone like broke down the pass that he had, like the 60-yard pass down? I think it was Hail Mary at the end of the first half, and it hit. I can't remember who it was, right in the face mask, one of the Michigan State receivers. And there was just talking about how good of a throw. It's like a Michigan fan quote tweeted it and said, "I know this dude is not breaking down an incomplete pass right now." I'm just like, dude, college football is so back right now. I'm all in on it.
Yeah, Mel Tucker hot seat.
I'm sure we'll talk more Michigan State. I mean, there's not really too much to talk about. I will say the other funny instance, I guess, in the Michigan State world was the Michigan team coming out holding up the fours on the first play of the game when Jim Harbaugh had this self-imposed ban for the first 3 games. It was like he didn't need to take the ban. I get why. I know why he's doing it. He's trying to, protect himself. The thought is
because now he's not going to get suspended by the NCAA.
Correct.
He won't be.
And yeah, there was thought that he could get suspended next year, right? And I believe they face Texas.
They play Texas, yeah.
Yeah, the second game next year. So he's like, all right, I'll just sit out the first 3 games when they don't play anybody the first 3. But I just thought it was hilarious that they were holding up fours, and then you had J.J. McCarthy saying, "Free Jim Harbaugh." I was like, well, he can free himself. He didn't have to take the self-impans.
Yes and no.
I get why he did it, but
been suspended.
But the story behind it just because he had to suspend himself, and then his players were standing. I get, they're standing up for him, but that's it was just like it was weird in my opinion. But again, just another storyline to go into week 1 where there's not a lot of big games being played.
Yeah, Michigan looks good. J.J. McCarthy throwing the ball around.
I thought you were about to say J.J. McCarthy Heisman.
He's up there for sure. I mean, dude, the guy 26 for 31 or some shit like that, 28 for 31.
Yeah, I mean, those numbers will play. All right, I mean, honestly, no real big games going into week 2. I think the biggest game is
Texas, Alabama. That's the only big game.
Yeah, on Saturday night. So still, first couple weeks of college football season. So we'll circle back next week with obviously how that game turned out. We'll share our thoughts, and then any big stories in the meantime, we'll kind of share our thoughts there. But last thing we want to do before we move on to NFL and the preview for that is I want to get Steady's predictions at least for his Final Four for the college football playoff this year.
Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Washington. Yeah. All undefeated teams.
Okay. So you do got a Pac-12. Last year the Pac-12 getting in, huh?
Yeah. I think you could see that again. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of good teams in the Pac-12. They could easily beat up on each other and just fuck it for everybody. But if I'm going to pick one team from that conference, I'll pick Washington. Maybe they lose a game and still get there. Because I mean, you could take if I'm picking Michigan, Georgia, Florida State. I mean, maybe Georgia and Michigan lose a game, but still win the conference championship. The same with Florida State. I mean, Florida State's probably running the table at this point, unless they aren't healthy. But yeah, I'm gonna pick the best team I think that's in the Pac-12, and that's Washington.
All right. I mean, probably pretty close to me. I think we had an advantage. Like if I didn't watch the Florida State game the other night, I don't know if I'd be picking Florida State, but
I probably wouldn't either.
I've got Georgia. Actually, I don't know. Part of me wants to go Alabama instead of Georgia, but it's so easy to pick Georgia. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go Alabama. I think Alabama actually gets back, rights the ship this year. I'm gonna go Alabama, Michigan, USC, and then Florida State. Those are my 4. So, I mean, obviously they went back to back. I don't think they're gonna three-peat. I get Georgia's extremely good, but I don't know. Part of me wants to. I feel like a sicko for saying that, but I just want to see I want to hear the storyline of. I want to see Alabama win some games, and then just their program being like, we had all these people doubting us, and it's just like, dude, no, you're still Alabama. Not a lot of people are. I live for those storylines.
Yeah, we just missed the chance. We should have picked Wisconsin, Colorado, LSU, and Clemson. That would have been fucking electric.
Pull Desmond Howard from last year.
Yeah, everybody just fucking Wisconsin and Colorado go undefeated, and we get Clemson and LSU who lost their first game, and they just go run the table and get in.
It would be anarchy last year of the 4-man playoff. But yeah, I think those are, I don't know. Florida State maybe a little bit of a limb. We're just riding the high of what they did last weekend. But hey, that's what you do when you make some takes on a show. So all in on Florida State. Keon Coleman, Heisman Trophy winner. Who's your Heisman winner this year?
I'm just gonna go with my guy. I'm just gonna go with JJ.
Okay.
Michigan runs the table. He's gonna be a finalist. I mean, the way they threw the ball, it's not a. First off, remember last year it was just run. That's all we talked about on our podcast when we used to have one. And they aired the ball out crazy amounts in this game. It was shocking.
Do you think it's because Jim Harbaugh wasn't there?
No, I think that was the game plan. I think to try to show the team and get the passing game going quick early in the year. If you're talking about Heisman, I mean, let me look it up real quick, but Roman Wilson had 3 touchdowns too. I wonder what his yards were compared to Keon Coleman. Like, I get Keon Coleman did it against LSU, way more impressive, but yeah, for 6 for 78, so like 30 yards and 3 catches short, but still the same amount of touchdowns. I don't know. Outside of that, though, outside of my homer pick, Heisman. If Travis Hunter does what he continues to do, he'll be a finalist. He won't win it though.
I think I've got my 4 finalists. I would go. I'll go first.
Okay.
JJ, Jordan Travis, Joe Milton. I think could
Travis
have a big
Hunter.
year.
You mean? Oh, Jordan Travis, LSU quarterback.
Yeah,
right?
Jordan Travis, and then Travis Hunter. Yeah, that was gonna be my 4.
Okay. Wait, who?
Joe Milton.
Joe Milton. Joe Milton.
Yeah, slinging the rock at Tennessee. Yeah, that's why I thought you were gonna say for your second pick.
Michigan's the only school in the country that has 3 starting quarterbacks playing at the same time. It's fucking crazy. K. McNamara too is also a starting quarterback.
Well, I was gonna say, Michigan State has. Well, I don't know. So they got Noah Kim, Rocky Lombardi, I think, still at Northern.
No
Illinois.
way he's still there, right?
He might be.
No way. Look that up. Look that up while I give my 4. There's no way he's still playing college football.
I think he might be there, and then.
There's no way that guy's still in college.
I will die laughing if he is.
Wait, who else is a transfer from Michigan State?
Who's their quarterback from last year?
Peyton Thorne?
Yeah, he's down at Auburn. Yeah, he did. He's at Northern Illinois. Current season.
He's still there?
Yeah, 2023. Yeah.
Oh my god. How old is that fucking guy?
165 yards. He's where is his age? Where's his bio? Oh, here we go. Full bio. Rocky Lombardi. They don't get
Is this
his
his
age.
6th year?
Dude, yeah, 3 seasons at Michigan State, 3 seasons at Northern Illinois. So
Christ.
Michigan just breeding quarterbacks.
That's the stat of the day. All right, my 4. I'm going Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, Jordan Travis.
Yep. I feel like an idiot. Yep. I'm taking Travis. Yeah. I actually think Caleb Williams is going back to back. I was joking about Keon Coleman.
And then the 4th one, I'm going to go Travis Hunter just because somebody outside of a quarterback is going to get invited.
No, that's fair.
Based off week 1, I mean, doing dual threat like that, I mean, it got Jabril Peppers there. They tend to have been picking a defensive player in recent years.
Just to spice it up a little bit to
Yeah,
prove
just
that's
to put
not a
one there.
quarterback,
Yeah.
not a quarterback reward.
Which they don't have a chance of winning, but yeah. I'll go with those 4 then. That's fine. At least based off week 1. We can update it every week.
All right, that's fair. Our weekly.
Or like every month or so, every couple weeks, however we want to do it.
That's fair. All right, I think that's all I got for
we
college
talked
football.
about college football forever.
Yeah, sorry for anyone that wasn't expecting us to tune in. We weren't expecting to do that at all either. So,
Do you have a time on this already?
yeah, hour and 15 minutes. First episode going deep. We're taking the first episode deep. It's all good.
Well, at least we've already compacted our NFL talk a little bit, so we can kind of fly through this, I think.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But hey, it's the Nick Leach Show. We do what we want here. All right, switching gears. NFL, the best time of the year. The part that I was actually more excited to talk. I was not expecting to talk that much about college football, but hey, football season's here. We haven't talked on the microphones in quite some time, so this could get long-winded too. So our whole goal right here was we're going to go through each conference and each division. We're definitely not going to go through each team by any means, but probably definitely pick a division winner, few notes about what we expect, maybe from a few different teams in there, and kind of move on. So I'm sure we'll get on some tangents that we didn't expect, like we did with college football. So, all right, Steady. First things first. NFL as a whole going into this year, how are you feeling about not only the Detroit Lions, but just the game of football in general?
I think this is going to be a good NFL season. I think there's multiple divisions that are very interesting, like the AFC North and AFC East. I'll put it this way. I don't think we see a team win 14 games.
Ooh, okay. So you think it's a pretty well-balanced league this year?
I do. I think – actually, I'm going to take that back. I think there might be one team from each league that just ends up looking great and stays healthy that can win 14 games and gets the number one seed. But I think more likely than not, we won't see a 14-team winner. I think it's very even across the playing field. I think that I just find this year very interesting in the parity across the divisions. I mean, even like some lesser divisions like the NFC and AFC South, I think, yeah, there's a clear betting favorite in those divisions, but I think you could get some surprise teams just based on how well-rounded teams are. And the NFL in general is just it's whoever stays healthy is going to win. That's just the name of the game. That's generally how these things play out. If you're the most healthy team, you're going far, especially if you got the superstars on those teams.
Yeah, I think my whole thought, first, what I've kind of been telling people all off season, it seems like the AFC's probably got more variety than I would say. The NFC seems a little bit more blatant of what to expect in that division. But I would say AFC definitely has what I would say the powerhouse of QBs, right? You've got Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You could argue the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. You could say that they're all in the AFC, and then talk about Trevor Lawrence is in there as well too, who I expect to have a breakout year. But I just think that the AFC's got a little bit more like up in the air of where those rankings are going to fall at. But I think the NFC's got a little bit more laid out of what to expect. I think it's those divisions might be a little bit easier to predict than the AFC. But things change from year to year. I don't think anyone expected the Eagles to have the season they did. Jalen Hurts stepped up and took a big step. So I definitely expect some team to do that this year, and I think my pick there is kind of the Jaguars. So, if we want, we can kind of start the AFC, and we can start there in the AFC South. And that now that I brought up the Jaguars, so I do think they take the next step, and the thought there is Calvin Ridley. Even though he was out all last year, the reports coming out of their camp was that he looks like he hasn't missed a beat. And then, you pair that with Travis Etienne in the backfield. Christian Kirk as well, too. My favorite football name probably of all time, Tank Bisbee, is the backup running back there. And for that alone, I'm all in on the Jaguars.
I'm going to say so. I do think the Jaguars win the division. The division has 2 rookie quarterbacks, CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, playing. I don't expect either of those teams to be very good. I expect the Texans to be better than the Colts. It's not where the betting markets are. I just, especially with Jonathan Taylor, if he doesn't play at all this year, the Colts are going to have trouble. Period. I think that's the worst thing for Anthony Richardson, just not having a bell cow back. I mean, Deion Jackson's going to be their starting running back, it looks like, with Zach Moss. Like, neither of those guys are anywhere near Jonathan Taylor's level. So that's
I don't think he's going to play. I will
think so
come out
either.
and say it. I don't think Jonathan Taylor's playing. There was way too much said in the offseason between him and Jim Irsay where it's like, all right, he is for sure not playing football this year. At least he's not playing football for the Colts.
He's for sure not playing the first 4 weeks. He's on the PUP. I mean,
correct. Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying.
I find that even more interesting that they're calling it some kind of injury too. Which that could have affected how the trades talks were going. That he might actually have an injury that is just not being really talked about as much. So I think the Colts are the worst team in this division. I think the Texans kind of surprise people and maybe win 6 or 7 games. I think that it just could be interesting with how young that team is. It's very unknown how good the Texans are going to be. But with all that said, I do think the Titans can actually do something. I mean, it's a team that's been not really talked about because of the Jaguars' up-and-coming season and signing D-Hop. I think there's room there that it's an all-or-nothing season real quick and see what happens. If things start going downhill quickly, I mean, you'll see a third rookie quarterback start in this division, Will Levis. But I'm not expecting that to happen. I think Ryan Tannehill, I think they're going to be decent. They'll push the Jaguars. I don't think the Jaguars are going to go out and win this division by 3 games. I think they're going to end up pushing the Jaguars pretty close. Because I mean, both these teams get 4 easy wins against the Colts and Texans, or at least should. So I find it a very compelling division just because no one's talking about the Titans, and their defense has been decent every year under Vrabel. So I think they're gonna have a solid year. Can Tannehill stay healthy enough and actually get the ball to the receivers is the question. So, but that's I do expect the Jaguars to win the division though.
Yeah, no doubt. That's where I got to. I think very well put about the Titans. I mean, they added pieces too that can only help Ryan Tannehill.
They added a back to Tajay Spears, like you just talked about Tank Bigsby, that I think can be a perfect complement to Derrick Henry's style. A younger guy that's got some speed, and so I just find it crazy that everybody's writing the Titans off quickly. Like, I feel like the Texans are getting more talk about that in their division, and they're still the least favorable team to win the division according to Vegas is the Texans, but the Titans are second in this division, and almost nobody talks about them because of everybody's hype on the Jaguars this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on that Jaguars bandwagon as well too. So I mean, they also have Doug Peterson there as their head coach too, which I mean, we saw what he did a couple years ago with the Eagles. So you know that he's a Super Bowl winning coach, and talk about very similar to the LSU's, like the Eagles. It's a tough place to coach, right? Because a little bit of bad success bad success doesn't make any sense. A little bit of failure there.
Well, no, bad success. I mean, bad success. Say you're barely making playoffs every other year. That's not enough.
Bad success. All right, that's fair. I mean,
that's success for most franchises.
That's exactly what I was about to say. So, I mean, Doug Peterson.
I made your shit words.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a definition tomorrow. Bad success, and put exactly what it means.
Yeah.
Nick's word of the week: bad success. I do think. I think there's even a chance that the Jaguars can compete for the number 1 seed in that AFC this year. So I think they're going to be a very fun young team to watch. So it seemed like they figured out a little bit too at the end of the season of how to close out some games there too. So look, Trevor Lawrence has always figured out a way to win football games. Yeah, it's been a little bit of adjustment the last 2 years in the NFL, but that we've seen in those pivotal third years for a lot of big quarterbacks. That's typically when they take the next step, and I fully expect him to do that. So very, very much looking forward to watching the Jaguars this year, which I don't think you'd say about. That's not something that comes off the tongue all so often. All right, going up to the AFC North, we've got the Steelers, Browns, Ravens, Bengals. This is, I think, just a war of attrition when it comes to the standpoint of the Ravens and the Bengals. Obviously, Joey Burrow had some some calf issues already during the summer. He is going to start week 1, so there's not. I mean, I think there's still a slight concern about how healthy is that leg, but he's going to start. He's going to go week 1, and then same old story with Lamar Jackson every year. It's like, all right, can he stay healthy? And then I think it comes down to kind of those two things: is whoever stays healthy out of those two quarterbacks, that's honestly who's going to win the division.
Yeah, I personally think this is the most up for grabs division. Betting odds would probably say it's the AFC or NFC North. But I mean, both of these two divisions are pretty close from all 4 teams' perspective. I mean, the worst team here, Steelers, are plus 500. So yeah, this is probably the first year that you see the Steelers go under 500 under Tomlin, which is crazy to say, but I think that's probably going to be true. I like the Ravens out of this division. I think Lamar is up there in top 3 for MVP this year. The weapons that they've added, Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham, I think just adds to that offense immensely.
I was going to call Odell the comeback player of the year, but I think Damar Hamlin has that locked up as soon as he steps on the field week 1.
Yeah, as long as he plays this year, yeah, I think he's probably got that locked.
Yeah.
I think, dude, what's crazy, so like awards, you don't generally see guys, except for maybe like MVP like Mahomes, at like close to negative odds. DeMar has been negative odds this whole offseason to win comeback player of the year. I personally just think I think the Ravens. I think Lamar's they're gonna try to keep him in the pocket more to keep him healthy, especially now that he's got the wide receivers to throw to. I mean, they got 3 solid wide receivers. They still got Bateman, and then adding Zay Flowers and Odell. And then I do think the Browns are gonna be better than they were last year. I think now that Watson has a year, not sitting half of it with the Browns, and I think they have the best running back in the NFL right now, Nick Chubb. I think he's going to lead the league in rushing. So I find this division very compelling. I think you could see some of these teams drop to each other, even to the Steelers, just randomly. And that's just how the AFC North always is. So I'm going to take Lamar and Baltimore to win the division, because I also think there is concern with Joe Burrow. We'll see how mobile he is off the bat this year. I mean, he's just returning to practice this week.
Yeah.
He's going to be a little skittish, I think, trying to test out that calf, and that's not a fun injury, especially for how long he was out for during the preseason.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I was going to go with Baltimore as well too. I think those weapons for Lamar, and JK, it seems like he's finally healthy for the first time in since he became a pro. So I think that Baltimore defense can just be absolutely dangerous. So I know actually there's some people out there that are sleeping on picking Pittsburgh to be, kind of the dark horse, and like Kenny Pickett is expected to take a big step forward this year. But I don't know. I just don't know if there's enough experience on that side of the ball just to compete with 2 guys like Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, who have had a ton of success the last couple of years. So.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to have to be great for them to compete, to try to get 10 wins. I think they'll be hovering around the 8-9, try to be 500 team, which isn't going to be good enough to win this division. But yeah, I think the Steelers could be decent. I think this is the most compelling division. I think all 4 teams have a chance of being at or above 500. They're probably going to beat up on each other, like I said, and I don't think there's a bad team in this division. That's why I find it very compelling. I'd rank them. I'd go Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, based on now. I mean, that could change very quickly depending on how Kenny Pickett plays too. If Kenny Pickett can figure it out, I think the Steelers have the second best defense in this division. So if Kenny Pickett can figure it out and at least keep them in games and not throw them away, we could be talking about something different come week 6. Steelers could be 4-2 and be like, damn, this offense is actually good. George Pickens, I think, is the real deal too.
Yeah, a lot of people are expecting him to have a big season as well too. So, I mean, we've seen some of the circus catches he's made in the past. So, Kenny Pickett just kind of reminded me. I've got him actually. Not that anyone cares about my fantasy team, but I've got him on a dynasty league. So, wouldn't be opposed to something like that happening. So, Yeah, it is a very I think the AFC North every single year is
Yeah.
arguably the most compelling division in football. So a lot of history there, and just a division that always beats the shit out of each other. Which
Yeah, the teams hate each other too.
Yeah, I know.
That and the NFC East are the two divisions that hate each other nonstop. I think the other divisions have rivalries and stuff, but it's not the same as the NFC East and the AFC North. Those are just different breeds, because teams are always good in those divisions. That's the other thing.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and then I think AFC. I mean, and Steelers have the best coach in college, or coach in the NFL, which is Mike Tomlin.
I agree. Some
I know
some would say let's say Bill, but I agree. I think Mike Tomlin is.
Mike Tomlin might be my favorite coach of all time.
He's just missing the Super Bowls that Bill has, but Bill hasn't done much without Tom Brady. So
correct.
Tomlin, I get most of it was with one quarterback too, but he was consistently, like I said, he has not coached a team under 500 yet.
Yeah. Yes.
And I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if the Steelers do get to 500 this year. That would not shock me.
No, I think that's where they're flirting with. I think maybe they're win over. I mean, I'm sure you have it there in front of you, but I think they're over under for is like maybe 7.5, 8.5, right in there. If I had to guess, if I was a betting man, which I am.
Steelers are bad with the alphabet. 8.5, yeah. So I mean, it's right.
Yeah, it's right
the
there.
bubble.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against Mike Tomlin. I mean,
and like I said, they're the least favorite, according to the same book that I'm looking at, to win the division. So
yeah, isn't it crazy? Like three head coaches in the last 60 years or something like that?
Yeah, that's absurd. That's absurd.
Yeah, not a bad spot to be, especially when we root for a franchise that's had 3 head coaches
in the last fucking decade.
Yeah. All right, going up to the AFC East. I'd say going up, but I mean, guess going east to the AFC East. We've got the Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. This is another division I think can be an absolute toss-up, besides maybe New England. I think New England is actually probably one of the worst teams in the AFC this year. Dolphins going to be contingent on Tua staying healthy. I do think there's a chance that Miami, especially when Jalen Ramsey gets back, could have the best defense in football. So that will be a fun storyline to watch, but it's going to come down, can Tua stay healthy or not? So it's been the story of his career since he was in college. That's why I was not big on him when the talks were draft Tua to the Lions. I just don't know if he's ever going to be able to play a full 16-game schedule. I just don't know if that's going to be possible for him. Obviously, I'm not rooting for anyone's injuries, but I just, call a spade a spade. So if he goes down, I think, and Des Bryant thinks so too. So
apparently,
yeah. I mean, it's still gonna be,
that team's gonna fucking crumble.
Yeah. I mean, any team that Tyreek Hill's on, it's gonna be a fun team to watch. But it's the Buffalo Bills. As much as I think the Jets are gonna compete, I just think there's, Aaron Rodgers adjusting to a new team in the AFC. I think playing in. I mean, look, you're going to play from Green Bay to New York. That's 2 totally different atmospheres. I get the Jets haven't had a lot of success the last couple of years, but it's still the bright lights of New York. You're going to be under a microscope regardless. I don't care who you are. So I do think they're going to be competitive. I'm not saying that they're not going to be competitive, but it's the Bills' division to lose. And as long as Josh Allen's in that division and Sean McDermott's the head coach, I just don't see the Bills losing that division.
I'm going Jets. I do think the Jets are going to be good. I think that they have the best corner in the league. It's going to come down to whoever beats each other. Like, I think this division is won inside the division. I do think Aaron Rodgers figures it out. I think the offense is much improved over what it was last year. I think Garrett Wilson has a great year. The running back room on paper is probably the best one in the NFL with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. And I just...
And Michael Carter's there too, I think, right?
I think he's still the third one, yeah. If they got a second wide receiver, if it's Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, his old ass...
Old ass. We say he's old ass, and he's only 32 years old. Like, we're 30. Well, you're 30. Yeah, you're 30, and he's 32.
Well, whatever. He's old.
But he's the oldest receiver in the league.
That's crazy. Yeah, I do like the Jets. I think the Bills are still. I think they're overhyped. They got to figure out how to run the ball better. If they can do that, I guess they can. I guess, and we'll see how they. I'm interested to see how they play Kincaid too, because I don't think Gabe Davis is anything crazy to be like scared of. But if they can get Kincaid to be out there and do some stuff, because Dawson Knox is still going to play a lot too. I find it interesting, but I just think with Sauce Gardner and that defense with the Jets, I think this division could have some good defenses too with the Bills, Miami, and the Jets out there. So I'm going Jets. Yeah, and the Patriots, it's not even worth spending the time talking about that. I think that team's going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say I had just one of those holy shit he's there moments as far as their roster goes. It's
the Patriots.
No. The Bills. So their third string running back. Take a wild guess if you can guess who their third string running back is.
Who do they have listed as the first two?
James Cook and Damian Harris.
Yeah, so Latavius Murray.
Oh, you did know that.
Yeah.
How did you know that?
Because I have like 65 best ball lineups, and you've drafted 20 rounds of people, so you take flyers in the last couple picks, and Latavius Murray's up there for me to steal some touchies.
That's fair. Yeah, and then Naheem Hines is their fourth, but he will not be playing football this year. So, yeah, that was wild.
Be careful on jet skis.
Yes, very dangerous. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, Patriots. I don't know. Maybe win 6 games this year. I don't believe in Mac Jones whatsoever.
No,
I would take Daniel Jones over Mac Jones. I will say that.
Yeah, easily. Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback.
Jesus Christ. All right. Bill Belichick, hot seat?
Not yet. I mean, dude's done everything. Here's what we could talk about for the Patriots. Have you seen that video board?
The big ass one that just put in the stadium?
That thing looks sick.
It's like half the stadium.
That looks so awesome. I wish everywhere had that, because that thing looks awesome. I'll say that is one cool ass thing to have in a stadium.
They got to have it at both ends there, because if you're sitting in the end zone, you don't get to see it. Well,
yeah.
You could probably actually see it. It's so big, you could probably see it out of your peripherals.
We're gonna get, by the time we're laying on our deathbed and we're like 85 and just like, damn, I want to watch NFL football. We're gonna be watching it, and it's gonna be a whole stadium around. It's gonna be a fucking video board.
Well, isn't the one in LA technically? I don't think it's as like tall, but I think the one in LA is like a video board all the way around. But
there's a few of them that have stuff like that, but I'm talking about like the full fucking thing like that. It's gonna be like 50 feet tall all the way around the stadium.
Well, Michigan just did it at the Big House as well too. Well, I don't think it's as big as the one at Gillette Stadium, but
think it's close.
Yeah, I know. I saw the
that
pictures
one looks
of that.
massive.
I was like, I wanna play some video games on that thing.
I think I saw it was like 300 feet across. That's fucking huge. It's a football field across.
Yeah, it's massive. Shout out to New England. You did something good this offseason.
Well, they got all that money. They got to spend it.
Oh, and Albert Breer did say Juju Smith-Schuster's knee is getting ready to explode any day now. So taking time on. And they do have Zeke Elliott. That's one more thing we can mention. They're adding some seasoned veterans up there.
I think that backfield's decent. I think Ramondre Stevenson's solid too.
I think it'd be a good 1-2 punch, but I'm not saying Zeke's going to be the Zeke of old. I mean, he was paired up with Tony Pollard, and
I thought the Juju stuff was like he was going to do Antonio Brown, like explode kind of things. That's how I read the first one, and then I saw it again by another guy, and it was like, oh, his knee. I was like, oh, that.
Did you mean his brain?
Random. Like he was just going to explode and like go off on people, like just be.
Yeah. Well, Antonio Brown diagnosed himself with CTE. So.
Well, my favorite part about that is the X or Twitter has the fact checks, and you can't diagnose someone with CTE while they're still living.
Yeah, it said and it tells you how to do it. It's like you got to take the brain out of the skull and then put it underneath the microscope, and he's just out there saying that he's got it. So
yeah, I thought that was great.
Twitter protecting the public. All right, moving to the last division in the AFC, which is the AFC West. Another division that we thought was going to be, I remember doing our predictions last year, and we thought how competitive this division was going to be. And then the Chiefs just ultimately ran away with it. But I don't think it's as clear this year. I think there's a chance the Chargers could actually still. I get Patrick Mahomes, still very good at football, not denying that.
I think it's the only team that can compete with them is the Chargers.
Chargers, agreed. But at the same time, too, Sean Payton, what he's doing with the Broncos right now. Have you seen some of the quotes coming out of there?
Yeah, it's Dion level. Colorado's a wild place, apparently.
Yeah. They smoke a little bit different stuff out there in Colorado.
Something's going on. I have to see it to believe it that they're going to actually go out there and do something. I just don't. I don't know. I don't trust Russ after what he did last year to be the guy anymore.
I think Sean Payton might start beating the hell out of him on the sideline if he doesn't pull his head out of his ass.
Who's their backup quarterback?
Paxton Lynch. No, I'm just kidding. Jay Cutler.
The problem is that they're never going to bench anybody, right?
No, you're paying him way too much money to bench him.
Oh, God. Jarrett Stidham.
Jarrett Stidham went off in the preseason game, though.
Cool. I'd like their wide receiver room so much, though. Jerry Jeudy, I think, is going to hurt them. He's, I think, going to miss this week.
I think he's going to miss a few weeks. He's battling turf toe, so it can be tough.
But I like the Marvin Mims pickup. Oklahoma wide receivers generally do decent in the NFL.
Unless you're Justin Blackman. Oh, you said Oklahoma. I was thinking Oklahoma State. Yeah, my bad. Justin Blackman catching ricochet shots.
Yeah, I do. I think the offense is decent. The question is, does Russ do what he did last year? Because God, I hope that was just a head coaching job. That's all that was, because that was a brutal offense. Like that defense, points per game, was the best team in the NFL last year. Like if they scored 18 points last year in every game, they would have been undefeated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's fucking insane to say. That's so low.
Could you imagine playing defense for that team? I would have been so pissed.
That's got to be brutal. They got Frank Clark now too.
That's right. They do got Frank Clark.
So they could be interesting. I don't think they have a chance to win the division. They could be an interesting team to make the playoffs.
I think Javonte Williams might have a breakout season underneath Sean Payton. So
the problem is P. Ryan, I think, is going to steal a lot too. I think Javonte Williams is going to have a good year, but I think P. Ryan's going to steal a lot. I think they're both going to split a good.
Yeah, but look at the 1-2 punch he had in New Orleans with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. I think it could be very similar to that. So I don't know. I do expect the offense to be. It can't be any worse than it was last year, right?
No, it can't. I don't think it can.
Yeah, physically cannot.
Well, and then we have the Raiders, and the Raiders are not going to be good.
Yeah, Jimmy G finds a way to win though, man. No matter
His
what
health
happens.
is already an issue too, though. Well, betting odds, they're the second least to win their division in all the NFL. So
that's just right where Jimmy G likes to be at, though.
It'll be interesting if they start falling apart. You could easily see Jacobs and Devontae Adams get traded midseason, which would be.
You could also argue the case though that you've got the best receiver and best running back. I'm not personally saying that's who they are, but you could make the case that they have those. So
definitely both top 5 in their division or position. So I wouldn't disagree with that.
You did lose Darren Waller to New York, but
got Michael Mayer. Could be interesting. I don't know how good he's going to be. He dropped a lot in the draft compared to where people thought he was going to go. We'll see. I'm not high. My hopes are not high for the Raiders to do much this year. I think they're maybe a 6-win team.
That's the coach that I think if they don't figure it out, Josh McDaniels is for sure the first. Out of all the coaches on the board, that's the one I was on. I was like, he's for sure. If they don't figure it out, he's the first coach to get. Actually, I'm going to call it right now. Josh McDaniels, first coach fired this year.
Yeah, I don't know who else is going to get fired. Riverboat Ron.
He's starting a rookie quarterback this year. He's got another little bit of a pass, I feel like.
Yeah, we'll talk about that team in a second, but I got some things to say about them. But yeah.
AFC West division winner?
Chiefs.
Chiefs. All right, I'm going Chargers. Chargers upset pick. I think, especially we'll preview the game here in just a minute. Opening night football Thursday. Chiefs Lions. We'll do that after we kind of preview the NFC. But already coming into the season banged up. You know, you got Travis Kelce. Don't know if he's going to play week 1. I mean, his hyperextended his knee, and then
I spent so much time on DFS labs. Please don't fucking play. I'm gonna have to redo everything tomorrow after work if he plays.
Yeah, but then I mean, then same time too, you got Chris Jones that's holding out too, and I think there's a good chance that you don't see him play at all this year if he doesn't get paid. So, especially after Nick Bosa was holding out and he just got paid in San Fran. So,
massively.
Yeah, I think, and that's really the only scary piece on your defense, especially now that Frank Clark went over to Denver. So, we'll see what happens.
I do think the Chargers will be good too, but I'm going with the Chiefs.
That could be another coach though too. If Chargers don't, if Brandon Staley's in over his head again, that could be the other coach. So
the problem is they're going to be right there competing for it regardless. I just don't know. Can you fire a coach for that? I don't know.
Well, guess we'll find out soon enough.
In a city where no one really cares about you, I don't know.
All right, shifting gears. All right, who's your AFC champion?
I think it's Ravens and Jets are playing for the championship.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's different.
I'm going to go Jets.
Jets going to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Okay. Don't hate that. Don't hate that one bit.
I think that's a really good game too. Jets and Ravens.
I'm going Bills and Jaguars AFC Championship. I think the Bills and Chiefs might meet first round potentially, especially if I have the Chargers winning. So I think it's going to be Bills. I think it's Josh Allen's year to get the Super Bowl. And it's going to be they're going to beat Jaguars in the AFC Championship. So that's my pick there. All right, jumping over to NFC. We will start with the NFC West. We've already talked a little bit about the Cardinals. Don't need to talk about there. I just think Jonathan Gannon's the biggest doorknob. Saw a few of his Hard Knocks. I don't know if Hard Knocks or for his inside their locker room or whatever it is. Might be the worst motivational speaker I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know if you saw this clip, Steady, but he was walking around. He goes, "Who drove here in a car today?" People raise their hand. "Who took the bus?" He goes, "Pretty motivating, huh?" I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, where? That's not where I was expecting him to go with that. But
they might not win a game.
I mean, there's a real possibility of that. I mean,
they're gonna come out and win week 1. Watch.
Yeah, just ruin their draft hopes of Caleb. Carl Williams though will be super happy if that's the case.
Dude, the over-under for that game is 38.
Hammer the over.
Cardinals at Washington, 38. And that's Washington winning by 7, too.
Yeah, Seattle, I think, real quick on Seattle, I think there's a chance that, they're going to sit right around 500. I just not at all in on Seattle. It seemed like they maybe slowed down a little bit. I think the 49ers are way too good. I do like Jackson Smith Njigba joining DK and DK and Tyler Lockett. I think you could argue that's one of the maybe top 5 receiver rooms in the NFL.
I think so.
But I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on their quarterback. Gino. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I wanted to say Terrell Pryor, but that was not the case. I think Gino kind of comes, and we saw it. You saw it kind of at the end of last season. He came back down to earth a little bit. So I just don't see the Seahawks competing with the 49ers. And I even think the Rams have a bounce back year. Yeah, I know Matthew Stafford's health is still a question. It's going to be in question, I think, every year for the rest of his career. But I actually expect Cam Akers to have a breakout year. Maybe a lot of people thought it would happen last year. I think it's actually going to happen this year. So I know their defense isn't very good, but any defense that still has Aaron Donald on the defensive line is going to be somewhat of a help.
Yeah, if we would have recorded this a couple days ago, before Cooper Kupp was ruled out and looks like he's going to miss a significant amount of time this year, I think I would have picked the Rams to win this division. Not doing that now. I think the 49ers do just fine and take this. I mean, they have the best defense in the division, the best coach, and quite frankly, they just control the ball. I mean, their wide receiver room's good too. You got Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo, and then Chris McCaffrey, of course, top 5 running back. So it's hard to not pick them to win this division. I would pick Seattle to finish second now. I think losing Cooper Kupp kills the Rams' chances this year. And it's going to suck. Even if he misses 4 games, they're just going to be behind the 8 ball. 49ers are going to be in every game they play. They're never going to get blown out. So it's tough not to pick them to win the division. I think this is one of the more clear-cut divisions. I am interested to see what Geno does. I think Seattle's very compelling. I think they could be another fringe playoff team out of the NFC. I think Geno's going to be fine. I think he's still going to get the ball where he needs to get the ball. They got the playmakers. And then drafting Zach Charbonnet to be the backup to Kenneth Walker and do the 1-2 punch there. I think both of those running backs are very good. So it's going to be an offensive show there. It's just how good can that defense be, and can they beat the 49ers at all this year? I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, I think that's extremely well put. I think the Niners, regardless of who they put at quarterback, I think their defense can take them all the way to the NFC Championship, like we've seen in several years past. So, which it is nice that the NFL made the emergency backup rule because of that NFC was the NFC champ? No, not NFC Championship, but the divisional
championship. Was it not?
Was it?
Yeah, because the 49ers were playing in Philly.
That was the following, but I'm talking about the divisional round where.
No, that was a Philly game that happened.
Was it where they lost? Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it just happened super early in that game, and then they just beat the ever living hell out of them.
Yeah, it was never a game. Yeah. It was one of the worst championship games ever, just because there was no quarterback to fucking play for.
Did you hear what? I don't know how true it is, but did you hear what Kyle Shanahan was going to do if?
Sign Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
Wild.
That would have been awesome. I
wish that would have happened.
I know, I do too. I was like, we missed out on that opportunity.
That would have been sick.
Yeah, I would have been all in on that.
I would have picked them to beat the Chiefs.
With Philip Rivers?
I was all about the Chiefs winning that game. I think I would have just went with the 49ers to win just because Philip Rivers is back.
Yeah, I think the world.
He would have had his 16th kid.
Yep. All right, NFC South. I mean, worst division in football, arguably, probably.
Yeah, I think it is. But my favorite team, my favorite team's in this division, to watch this year. The
Falcons.
Saints. Oh. I think the Saints are going to be very, very good. Their schedule is so bad. Part of it's because they play this division 6 times, but they don't play anybody. They're playing like they got the Colts, they got the Texans. They got bad teams on their schedule. I think the Saints run away with this division. This could be the team that wins 14, 15 games because their schedule is so bad. I'm very, very high on the Saints this year, and I think with Derek Carr, assuming Michael Thomas is going to actually play and do something.
He's playing
too.
Yeah.
I think this offense could be very electric. I mean, they're missing Kamara for the beginning of this year, but the schedule is weak to start, so I don't think that impacts the team too much. I'm very, very high on the Saints team, and the rest of the division. I don't see the Falcons being as good as people I think are saying they're going to be. I think the Bucks are actually going to be better than people are saying they're going to be.
I think so too. Yeah.
And then the Panthers are just going to be around in the middle. I think what they did towards the end of last year was impressive, so I think they have some pieces there. And it's just I don't know that Bryce Young is a solid NFL quarterback that he's going to be around for 8 to 9 years. I just don't think he's that kind of guy.
Oh, damn. Early called shot by Steady.
Yeah.
I like the Saints, especially, I mean, Derek Carr. I mean, he's had some success, some bad success, you could say.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Jamal Williams is down there now, too. He had a decent year, although touchdown numbers a little inflated if you look at him deeply. But, Michael Thomas, all accounts, haven't heard no peep out of him all offseason and all training camp. So I think that's a great sign for the Saints going into this. Is that
and didn't even talk about one of my favorite picks for fantasy or anything like that.
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave, yeah, I think he could easily be Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay, bold statement there. I like it though. I do. I've got Olave in a couple fantasy teams, so I like that there. And then obviously the one point I got to point out is that they've got the best safety room in the entire NFL. You got Tyrann Mathieu and Marshawn Lattimore on the back end. So
yeah, by far I honestly probably the only good defense in this division.
Yeah, and Cam Jordan's still there as well too. So
yeah, I think the Saints have a fantastic year. I think this is going to be one of the best years the Saints have ever had. The question is, can they do something in the playoffs? Maybe.
All right, I like that. I'm in on the Saints too. I just don't think there's enough. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though too. I'm in on the Saints winning, but I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, the Bucks are a little bit better. Maybe if it was still the Bruce Arians Bucks, I would have a little bit better expectations. Yeah. But I just don't think Todd Bowles is a very good head coach. I mean, he proved it with the Jets, and then, I mean, even last season with Tom Brady wasn't that good either. So.
Their offense can still be interesting. I mean, they still got the weapons. I mean, Godwin and Mike Evans are still there. Rashad Penny, I think, is a good running back. Yeah, question is, can Baker and the offensive line do something? I mean, the offensive line was bad with Tom Brady, and we saw that especially late last year. And is the defense going to be worth anything? I just don't. I don't see them being able to compete for anything. But I don't think they're going to be one of the worst 3 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. Yeah, a lot of people were super down on them. I was like, Baker's had success in the NFL. Like, it's definitely going to be, I think, the Saints division, but it could be a two-horse race between the Saints and the Bucs. I would not be surprised. All right, NFC East, NFC Beast, as we like to call them. Commanders starting Sam Howell.
I like this team too.
Yeah, I think Sam Howell might be the right guy for the Commanders, and might even buy Riverboat Ron.
Bieniemy calling plays. That's an interesting offense.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, Scary Terry. Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of pieces there.
Yeah, I think the offense is interesting. The problem is that this division's stacked.
Yeah,
I mean, the Giants made the playoffs last year. Like I said, I'm high on Daniel Jones. We'll see how good the receivers are. I think that's a big question mark for that team. But I think the Commanders can compete decently with this division. I don't know they could beat the Eagles out. And I think the Cowboys, see what Dak can do. If Dak can figure out how to not throw the ball to the other team, knows what colors his players wear, they should be decent. I mean, they got tons of players on that offense too. This is the hardest division, I think, to pick who's going to win.
Yeah, I do as well. I still think the Eagles are the team to beat. Just too many weapons, and then, I mean, you've added DeAndre Swift too, and say it with whatever you will, especially coming from a Lions fan. I know a lot of Lions fans are like, oh, he'll be hurt, but like, it doesn't matter. When DeAndre Swift was on the field, like, he did make an impact. Like, you can't argue that. It's just the fact that he was never going to play, much like how I feel about Tua. He's never going to play a full 16 games. He might be a great 1-2 punch there now with Kenneth Gainwell. I do think that can be
Boston Scott's going to get touches too.
Yeah, so I think they've got a pretty good
do you see their first official depth chart?
I have not. I was just looking actually at circling back to the Giants. I was just looking at their receiver room too. Sterling Shepard is still there, but they also added Jalen Hyatt in the offseason
Yeah,
too. So
I
Daniel
do
Jones
like
has
that.
those weapons. So your money's going to be put to the test here, Steady. If Daniel Jones is the real deal there in New York.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna be good. Yeah, so the Eagles depth chart, their official one, they listed all four of their running backs like together. They didn't list them 1, 2, 3, 4. So DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. Yeah, so I just found that interesting. Do you know who their backup quarterback is?
Um, Gardner Minshew is in.
He's a Colt, I think.
Yep, in Indianapolis now. Their backup quarterback. It's somebody that's I think similarly placed. He's not a rookie, right?
No, I would say he's similar. Started for a different team last year in the NFC.
God, I know who it is as soon as I ask you for the name. It's like similar. Like he can run.
I'm pretty sure this guy won a Heisman too.
Oh, Mariota.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree with you. As difficult as it is to try to pick of the three top teams to win the division, I think the Eagles that would be my pick. I just think the offense is the best one there.
Yeah.
And
I'm the biggest Dak non-believer. I love Dak Prescott as a human being, but I am not a believer that he's gonna not throw 10 interceptions this year.
That's the problem. He just throws too many picks, and I think that's going to kill that team. I
The
think
best was people.
They got Brandon Cooks now too. That offense is
Yeah.
just as good as the Eagles are if Dak does not turn the ball over.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I just don't think he can. I think it's, for all those years that the Lions had a good team, right? It was as much as people don't want to remember or think about it is Stafford threw a lot of interceptions at an inopportune time that kind of cost them in close games or late games. And that's kind of the same feeling I have about Dak Prescott is like, if the game's on the line and he's got to throw it, that's not where you want. He's got to have a lead. You want him to be comfortable in the fourth quarter. If he's got to sling it, yes, he can sling it at time. There will be times that he comes from behind and wins games, but there's going to be a lot of those times he makes an errant throw and throws the game away for you. So
I agree.
And then you saw a lot of offseason stuff of Trayvon Diggs getting in his face because Trayvon Diggs was picking him off all the time in practice. So, yeah, not a believer in Dak Prescott, even though I do actually one of the people that I like on the Cowboys as a human.
I'm going to get chewed about the Daniel Jones top 10 stuff because now I'm believing they're going to finish fourth in this division.
He's not even top 3 in his own division.
I just, dude, I like that Washington offense. I think with Eric Bieniemy, it's gonna be fucking good.
Yeah,
I think
it's
think
going to be
that-
the true test, right? Was it Andy Reid or was it Eric Bieniemy?
I think it was both, but I think Eric Bieniemy took a lot from Andy Reid. But I'm gonna say they're the most surprising team this year.
That's fair. I like
the
that.
Commanders.
New
They
ownership.
might not make the playoffs, but they're plus 1,300 to win this division, so no one's expecting them to do anything. I think they could easily be flirting around 500 and be one of those surprising teams that knock off good teams randomly throughout the year.
I also hope
games.
Yeah, I also hope the Commanders just continue to change their name like every 2 or 3 years because now that they've got new ownership there, they're already talking about changing the name and colors, which would be wild.
I think they got to keep those colors are nice.
I mean, it's like I feel like one of the most famous like uniform colors in all of sports.
You got to keep those colors. I'm down with them changing the name. Commanders.
Yeah,
sucks.
Commanders. Yeah, that's
Not
terrible
a good one.
Yeah, shouldn't have been surprised with Dan Snyder at the helm. But all right, last division, NFC North, Green Bay
Easy.
Packers.
We already know who's winning this division. Lions.
Detroit Lions. Yep, I all in on the Detroit Lions. Probably in more hype, even I would say so more than those early 2010 teams that were going to the playoffs and had Matthew Stafford, had Calvin Johnson, you had Reggie Bush, you had a pretty good team, and there's something in the air this year. And obviously us being close to the situation, there's a lot of talks of former players coming back and like no, that's not the same Lions organization that we were even in. So all in on the hype. If shit goes sideways this year, I will be absolutely devastated because I fully expect the Lions to go out win. Potentially,
I'll be the first one to go after Dan Campbell because this team. You don't miss the playoffs with this team. I'm sorry. With what you did at the end of last year and what you got going on, if you miss the playoffs in this division with Aaron Rodgers now gone, something's wrong. Like, Minnesota's defense is still going to be shit. Their offense, yes, is going to be good, but the Lions' offense is probably the best offense. Yeah, they don't have the best player in this division, but they got just as many players that are just as good. Across the board, and so it's so hard to pick somebody else outside the Lions to win this division. I could see some things going sideways and say you lose a division by 1 game to Minnesota. Fine, but as long as you make the playoffs, I think people are still gonna be happy. But if you miss the playoffs, people in Detroit are not gonna be happy, and I'll be the first one to throw Dan Campbell under the bus. I've done it before, and I'm not afraid to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, right? You got better on both the offensive and the defensive side of the ball, especially on the defense. I'd say probably more so your defensive back. You added a lot of guys there. But the talks have been too about immediate impact with some of these rookies. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs sounds like poised to have a huge breakout year. Also could in the conversation for offensive rookie of the year. So I mean, it's Ben Johnson's. I love David Montgomery over. To be honest, I love David Montgomery over both DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams that we had here last year. So that was an upgrade to begin with. And then what we've heard about Jahmyr Gibbs from everybody across the board, again, it's even that much more special. So again, staying healthy, that's big there. But I fully expect, and I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot of Lions fans saying it's going to be a 10-7 type season. For me, I think this could be a 12-win football team and should hopefully clinch the North in very convincing fashion. Again, I think the floor should be a 10-7 football team, which I get that's probably some Lions fans just, used to how things have gone in the past and protecting it. But I really believe this team should go out and win 12 football games this year.
Yeah, I think you should win at least 10. I mean, you should make the playoffs. I don't see there being an excuse to make the playoffs. I mean,
especially in the NFC too.
Yeah, talking about the rest of the division. I think it's Minnesota a clear second. That's the team you're competing for the division. And then I think Green Bay's better than Chicago. I think Chicago's going to suck again. I don't think they're going to win more than 4 games. I don't trust Justin Fields to be able to throw the ball in the NFL. You proved it last year. You can't do it. I don't see any difference this year just because they added DJ Moore. I don't think that makes a difference at all.
I think looking at it, right, knowing what you've got going into the season, expectations, and how you finished up last season. I mean, you look at the NFC. There's truly only 2 teams looking at it that I would say are better than the Detroit Lions. And that would be the 49ers and the Eagles. Those are really, truly the only 2 teams that I think, I mean, yeah, you could make your arguments that maybe Dallas has a bit more talent on both sides of the ball than the Lions. So yeah, fine. If you want to take that third one, go ahead. But I truly don't, this should be the 4th best team in this division this year at bare minimum.
Yeah, I think the Lions should be very good. I don't see we'll talk about plenty throughout the year. If the Lions miss the playoffs because they're losing stupid games, I'll be the first one to start reaming out that coach. I'm not afraid to do it. But yeah, there should not be. I don't think you can't lose more than 7 games in this.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. No. I do like what Minnesota did, adding Jordan Addison. I know Adam Thielen went to Carolina. I do like that move for them. I think their offense
hate that they got rid of Dalvin Cook. That makes 0 sense to me. With how uncertain you are about Kirk Cousins' future there, it just didn't seem like the right time to. Hey, we're gonna give up on our franchise running back.
To me, this is kind of a make or break year. If Kirk Cousins doesn't get something done for them this year, which I don't think they will, but it could be a start of a rebuild there in Minnesota. Yeah. So, and the Packers, Jordan Love there's so much he's going to have to learn still. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, he sat behind Aaron Rodgers just as long as Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre. But that team's not talented enough.
Their wide receiver room is all banged up, apparently. I've seen a lot of reports about that the last day with Watson and Romeo Dobbs. So I think that's going to be an interesting – if those guys are out, this team's going to be god-awful too.
Yeah, well, I think from that standpoint, like, yes, Aaron Jones is still very good at running back position.
A.J.
but
Dillon too. The backfield's great.
Yeah, but you play with a little bit of different confidence when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, right? And even with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay last year, you still missed the playoffs. So, I think it's hopefully for the first time in my lifetime, it's going to be some trying years in Green Bay because I've never seen that in my almost 30 years of life now. Never seen that team struggle. So, if they got to struggle for a couple years, so be it. I hate the Packers and. I know we're talking more on a national level here, but still, that's the fandom coming out. But definitely have the Lions winning this division pretty handedly.
Yep, easily.
Last team, I guess we should Justin Fields, in or out on Justin Fields?
Out.
I am too.
Until he can throw the ball, I'm out. The running stuff is great, but you're not gonna win a lot.
You're not gonna stay healthy.
No,
and how many of those games last year? Yeah, he did run, and even you were up big on the Lions, but because you weren't able to eventually throw the ball, or the few times you did, you threw a ball to Jeff Okudah, who had a pick six and turned that game around.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh yeah, he's had some nice throws. All right, what QB who's come to the NFL hasn't had nice throws? Zach Wilson had a really nice throw in his pro day where he threw back across his body like Patrick Mahomes. How's he doing in New York?
You got to do it consistently, and I just don't trust it until I see him do it a couple games this year. I'm not in. Like I said, I think if Green Bay loses those wide receivers long term and they're both not able to play, I think Green Bay is the worst team in the division. But if Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs are playing, I think they're better than Chicago.
Yeah, I agree. So, I think that kind of wraps up. All right, who's your NFC Championship game and NFC Championship winner?
Well, I want to pick the Lions, but the problem is picking the Lions to win a playoff game. I'm not going to do that this year. I think they're going to be a year away. I think the inexperience is going to pose a problem in the playoffs.
Do they win at least one playoff game though?
Yeah, I'll give them one. I'm going to say, here's what I'm going to predict for the Lions. I want the Lions to win. I just said they're going to win the division. So, but I don't think they're not going to be the number one seed. So they're not going to get the bye. They're going to have to play. God, who are the wild card teams going to be? Fucking Dallas and Seattle.
Yeah, so Dallas, Seattle, or
they're going to
Tampa,
host
maybe.
Yeah, so Lions are going to host the first playoff game, win it, and then lose to San Francisco or Philly, whoever they end up getting there. I'm going to pick the Saints and San Francisco to be in the championship game.
Damn. Okay.
I like the Saints a lot this year, and I'm going to pick the Saints to go to the Super Bowl to play the Jets.
Holy shit! What a prediction! I was not expecting that.
Dude, I like that team a lot.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you don't pick a team. You don't like a team. I mean, you do not like a team and pick them to go to the Super Bowl. So, that was first bold prediction I would say here on the
I will. Show. So I haven't. Let me check to make sure I haven't bet that yet, but I don't think I have. But I am going to be in a betting state next weekend, and I will put the future on this because I'll just say it now because we haven't said who we're going to pick to win. I'm picking the Saints to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay, all right. That is a bold prediction. All right, mine's definitely not that bold, but I am picking the Lions and the Eagles to be an NFC Championship. I do think there's a chance the Lions could get the 2 seed. If, again, I think their floor is 10 games, and I think there's a chance they could win 12, 13 games, which might be good enough to get the 2 seed. So I do think it's going to be Eagles and Lions in the NFC Championship. I do think the Eagles actually do beat the Lions to get back to the Super Bowl. And then I've got the Bills and the Eagles in the Super Bowl with Josh Allen finally getting his first Super Bowl and the first Super Bowl for Buffalo. So I've had that for pretty much since the end of last season, even before all the draft stuff started. So
looking through some of my bets, so here I do have the over Lions winning 11.5 games. That's probably a homer bet. But I I've already got the place, and I don't live in a betting state, so I can't do this live. I have to do this whenever I go to Michigan or Illinois, and I have the Saints being the last undefeated team, and I also have Chris Olave being Offensive Player of the Year. I don't have the Saints to win the Super Bowl, but I will be placing that next week. So hopefully the Saints kind of lose the first week and get better odds. But so maybe I won't feel about the same way if it looks bad.
Well, no, because then you lose your undefeated bet, though, don't you?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, they need to win then.
Yeah, you can't.
I guess I just get a little bit worse odds when I go out there after week 1. That's fine.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I thought we'd see some bold things. I did not expect the New Orleans Saints to be winning the Super Bowl here on week 1 of this show. But all right. Anything else you think we missed? I know. I don't know if we really talked about it, but Nick Bosa did get paid. I think we did mention it, but 5 years, $107 million. So I mean, if you're, I think all eyes are kind of on the Chiefs now to pay Chris Jones, but
plus 3,000 to win the Super Bowl right now.
Some good returns right there.
I like that.
Gonna start off 0-6.
Nah, dude. I think they play the Titans week 1. Let me look. So yeah, let's do that. Let's do a Thursday night preview and then pick our favorite game on Sunday.
All right, yeah. Obviously, so Lions kick off Thursday Night Football, which I can't believe that's how much the NFL loves the Detroit Lions now, which is great for us. I think we're seeing 5 primetime games, but big stories coming to this again. Chris Jones holding out. Travis Kelce now hurt. A lot of people are saying they don't think Travis Kelce will play just because it's a long season, but at the same time too, you're going to have 13 or 14 days off after this game.
Yeah.
So I think he will play. I don't think he's. I just don't see him sitting out the opening night. I
tried to find a good report about his swelling in his knee today, Wednesday as we're recording, and I couldn't find really much. They listed him as questionable, which I'm assuming is good, so I think he's going to play too.
Yeah, I think they're keeping it pretty hush-hush. So, again, won't be a surprise if he's on the field. I know the line moved down to like 4.5 last time I saw it.
I think it still is.
I don't expect it to go much lower than that, but I do think the Lions go out there, and I know it's on the road at Arrowhead, and Patrick Mahomes' numbers in week 1 aren't
they're unbelievable. He's never thrown an interception.
Yeah, it's unreal, but a couple of things, right? Like Travis Kelce, even if he is playing hurt, it's not the same Travis Kelce when he's fully healthy. 2, Eric Bieniemy's not there. I get Andy Reid's still kind of the offensive guru there, but a lot of inexperience on the outside with your receivers. Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore. I think that's where the Lions defense got much better is at the corner position. A lot of big news about Brian Branch, already looking like a seasoned vet in the NFL. So I honestly think the Lions go out. I think it can be a shootout still. I'm not saying the Lions are going to hold them to like minimal points or anything like that, but Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes know how to put on a show when the lights are on. So I've got the Lions winning this one 31-27.
Okay. Which is the over under is 53 currently, what I'm looking at. I like the over too. I think the game is dictated on if Travis Kelce plays. If Travis Kelce plays, I think the Lions lose the game. I think it's going to be close regardless, and I think there's going to be positives that Lions fans can take out of this game. Of course, I'm going to be rooting for the Lions, trying to give my unbiased opinion. I think winning in Arrowhead is just very, very difficult to do. And the best player in the NFL is on the opposing sideline for the Lions. So I'm still going to trust that he has a great game. I'll just do 35-32 Chiefs as the win if Kelce plays. If Kelce doesn't play, I think I don't think the offense for the Chiefs is going to be as potent. So I'll go 32-28, take a touchdown away from Kansas City if Kelce does not play.
All right. That's I mean, I do think it's going to be a great game, regardless of.
I think so
what
too.
happens.
I think
Obviously,
it will
I
be
still
a
want the
good-
Lions to win, but
I think this is the perfect game to start this NFL season.
yeah, I mean, looking at the rest of the slate, I know we can talk about maybe a game or here too, but I mean, there's really only two games that I'm really going to look at. Moving forward, that have probably my more interest than others. Obviously, I'm going to watch that Bears Packers game at 4:25 on Sunday. I think there's for being an NFC North fan of the Lions, it's going to be interesting to see how those teams operate week one against each other. But the game that I think will probably be one of the more exciting games is Dolphins Chargers Sunday afternoon as well too. I think that's one of the better matchups that they got going, and LA's favored
days,
3 points, and
during,
that's just because of the home team.
During the day slots, that's I think the best game is Miami out west and LA playing the Chargers. I mean, the Sunday night and Monday night games are great too. Bills at Jets Monday night, and then Dallas at Giants Sunday night.
Obvious, right?
Yeah, we got great primetime games this first week. I mean, other than that, I don't really see a whole lot of. I think the Titans and Saints game could be an interesting one. Other than that, I don't. I guess 49ers in Pittsburgh. See what Kenny Pickett can do against a top tier defense too at home. But yeah, I don't. The slate doesn't. Of course, it's going to be one of the craziest slates we've ever seen because it doesn't look like there's a lot of good matchups.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. The same exact thing.
It's week one of the NFL season, and random teams do random things every year in the NFL, and this could just be one of those seasons. So, yeah,
no, that's kind of where I think we even talked about when we used to do our betting show together. It's like seems like the NFL is a little bit more predictable, obviously with their lines than college football is, but. Not a lot of great matchups, I would say, week one, but I'd say maybe another good one you could say is Bengals-Browns, Battle of Ohio, if you're looking for a good 1 o'clock game. But I'm just happy. I'm excited. Football's back. It always feels like it takes forever. Like once you hit summer, it's like, man, like you never want summer to go by fast, but it's just like, then it feels like it's just slowly approaching, and I can't believe it. It's the happy NFL day to everyone that's listening.
Yeah, I'm very excited for football to be back. And then college football. After this week, we'll ramp up. I mean, this week sucks again, but after this week, college football. So Saturdays and Sundays are now no longer beach days. I can not go anymore. I gotta sit in front of the TV. So
yep, mine are gonna be sitting on this sitting on the couch in the newly renovated basement. So I
also
and bar and built a bar on it.
I do have a gripe to say at the end. I don't understand why everybody wants to get married in the fall. I don't get it. I'm missing 3 weekends of stuff. Ooh. 3. That's fucking brutal. Luckily, one of the weddings is on a Friday night, so that doesn't impact too much. But I mean,
they were
Saturday,
thinking, yep.
Yeah, I'll be hungover, but that's fine. But yeah, fall weddings, come on, guys.
Yeah,
do them in August.
August is the perfect time to get married.
Yeah, do it in August. Do it in May. Just not September through November.
Yeah,
come on, guys.
It's football season. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I've got a couple myself I got to go to, but it's hey, you'll figure out a way to watch those games. Weddings don't take as long as they used to back in the olden times. So
either that or I mean the ceremonies are very, very fast now.
Well, the problem for you is that you've got to travel all over the country for these weddings.
That's the problem is that I'm flying to Chicago, not this for week 2 of NFL or week 1. Week 2 NFL I'm gone. Flying to Chicago, and then the other 2 are back in Michigan. So yeah, I'm flying on Sundays 3 times this year, at least. Yeah. So that's unfortunate.
That's what happens when you move away to South Carolina. So yeah. But I think we've gone plenty long enough for week 1.
Today?
That was not anticipated by anyone. I thought maybe this thing would go hour and a half max. We're at 2 hours and 23 minutes. So definitely definitely a long, lengthened show, but hopefully everyone enjoys it. It was fun to be back on a microphone again, and it's gonna be nice to start rolling some content out there. So we look forward to everybody. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube channel. We'll have clips. We'll be doing more stuff too, not just the show on that channel. Maybe some golf stuff, maybe some reviews of. I got some ideas there. I'm not gonna spoil them just yet, but excited to get back doing some content stuff. I've missed it a lot, and really excited to be doing something like this again. So, Steady, appreciate you joining me, and glad to have you back.
Remember, RIP
Motown Sports. So, all right, that wraps up the show for this week. We will see you all next week.